Thanks for joining us today on the Free World Podcast. We got Brian, the semicolon Weber. He's got a fight coming up on February 1st at welterweight for Front Street Fights 18. Been out of the game for a little while. We don't use the word retired. He was just less competitive there for a bit. So having an awesome comeback fight. We're pumped that he's here with us. Outside of fighting, he's got an awesome story. His bouts with health issues, ulcerative colitis, being a college wrestler, and being in the game since the Wild West days of MMA. We had an awesome conversation hanging out today. What'd you think, Tim?
Yeah, this was dope. I think everybody will be super stoked to hear this guy's story. As far as where his nickname comes from to his little comeback here. So, dude, we went 2 hours. And this is not too common for your show.
Not at all, man, but I had a great time. I was just getting lost in conversation, having an awesome time. He's great to talk to, and has an awesome story. And if you know Brian, which pretty much everybody in the community does, he's a super cool dude to just hang out and chat with.
Yeah, I think for most people who don't follow MMA or the fight scene, and if they do follow it and have not been following it for the last like 15, 20 years, I think there's a lot of history also to be learned from this conversation. It was really interesting for me. I was taking photos for the first little part of it, but I picked up on a lot of the really cool stuff you guys were talking about as far as, the history of MMA and the type of, the sanctioning that went on before it actually became a little more mainstream. And that was extremely interesting and informative for somebody like myself, who I thought I had somewhat of an understanding and a little bit of a grasp on the history of MMA, because I have been following it since like the tournament days back in the 90s and before it was purchased and turned over and whatnot. But there was a lot of things that you guys taught me that I had no idea of. So as far as like anybody who's interested in MMA history or current fight game, local fight scene, whatever it might be, this is like an awesome show, and I had a lot of fun just listening to you guys geek.
For sure, yeah, we touched on a lot of cool stuff. So I had a great time. So thanks for hanging out. Stay tuned.
Yeah, most definitely. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Oh, wait, hold on. Everybody, also go to rhinorush.com. We get a 15% off code. Our studio is now sponsored, and we've been sponsored for like the last couple months. But if you haven't listened to Free Roll for a little bit, we are now sponsored by Rhino Rush. So head over there, do channel 9915. That's CHANNEL 9915. Get 15% off. They have Rhino Rush Relax. It's super popular. People love it. It's constantly on my shows. So if you go to any other Channel 99 shows, you'll definitely hear people rave about it. So go ahead, get stacked up, get jacked up. Also swing by Jack's Nutrition. They're doing a 2 for $40 deal on the Pro Edge nutrition products. They are located here on Eel Road. It's the only place you can buy our stuff unless you're a sponsored athlete at numerous like high school and college programs. Sorry. You just got to go to Jack's Nutrition. That's the only place you can buy it. So, all right, everybody, make sure that you subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Pass the episode along. And, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Sweet.
Yeah, peace.
Shut up and sit down.
Was Friday like the last hard sparring day for you?
Friday was the last hard sparring day. It was going to be Saturday, and the media guys were like, they had Friday, so I'm like, done. So I sent out, I tried to get all my friends and people who've come in and beat me up over the process of this to come in and just get on camera. So
nice. That's cool. Come in, take pictures, all that stuff.
Went way too hard. I was so tired. I was beat to shit. I got home, and I was just wound up from doing the interview and sparring, and I was like, man, that was like 5 months of hard training wrapped up, not injured, and I went to sleep at like 4 a.m.
Jeez.
I was just so spun up. So
how'd you feel on Saturday?
I was beat. I was sore, and I was like, man, I went too hard. I got lumped a little bit by one of our wrestlers, so I had just a tiny little, it looks more like a zit pop, but it was kind of a bump, and I was
like a head-to-head clash or something?
Yeah, I got headbutted like 3 times, and then Toby came in, and he was so excited. He just coming after me, like pulled me down, kneed me in the gut, and then swinging like back up, hit him with the right hand. I'm like, dude, settle down. You know, I don't need to go crazy today.
Right, we still got to fight. We still got to fight.
Still got to fight, and I don't need to get injured. So it was good. But I was so wound up after that. Mostly, I was shocked. Like, we did it. You know, we still got to do the fight and go and show up. I'm like, camp's, you know, pretty much around. We'll do some pads and stuff. But mentally, I was just still kind of. It was cool.
Just jacked up.
Just jacked up.
One good final hard day, long night, lots of hours.
Yeah,
all people around you.
Yeah. I mean, just people I love, man. And all my girls were there, and Ricky made it in. Toby, Ray. I mean, just the people who came in to put hands on me the last day was pretty cool.
Sure.
So it was kind of like, like I was gonna cry a little bit. I'm like, that was pretty sweet. So
Perfect way to end up in camp.
it was a
wrap
perfect
it up.
way to end it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
So it was cool.
I was happy to be there, man. Thanks for the invite. It was a lot of fun.
You bet.
I was hurting on Saturday. I had this brilliant idea where I was going to hit Nogi at SBG, warm up a little bit, come
And
down
you
to
come
Gracie
over?
Baja,
Yeah.
and instead it ended up being like a few hours of just straight rolling. And then on Saturday I was just like, oh man, I'm not in my 20s anymore.
I feel it.
Everything hurts.
I had this big pictured in my mind. We do at Gracie Baja, we do like Shark Tanks for birthdays. And
Nice.
So we throw everyone in, and everyone takes like a minute or 30 seconds and comes out, and they put it on you, and I'm
Sure.
like, that'd be fun to do like a Shark Tank from a last hard day, right? And so all the Muay Thai guys will come in, and they'll Muay Thai the shit out of me, and the Jiu Jitsu guys will, and like we'll include the kids. And in my mind, I was building this up, and it'll be great. It'll be a half-hour hard training. So I went there, showed up, and I was like, I was gonna warm up early. I got there like 6:30. And so I jump rope pretty good at a good clip for about a half an hour. Hard sparring started at 7. I'm like, I'm good. So I started going through, and I went through with my girls, and then Olin started showing up to do media. And so we started to pick up, and then all of a sudden it was like an hour, and I was just beat tired. And then the Muay Thai guys showed up. I'm like, oh, this is going to be rough, man. So I put my gloves on, got in front of Matt, and I was just standing there eating punches, it was great.
I can't imagine just being worn down from rolling in the gi and then slapping on gloves and doing rounds. You're a brave man.
It was so much. I wouldn't have not done it. Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, I think it's always good to train tired, and I'd plan on getting some rounds in, but I didn't plan on standing in front of Isaac and Matt exhausted, just going, oh man, this is not supposed to be how my last sparring goes, but it was cool.
Hey, if you can stand in front of those guys tired, you can stand in front of anybody fresh.
You could, yeah, they're both destroyers, man, and they kind of took it seriously, so they were popping me, and I was like, oh shit, it is the last hard sparring round, so it was fun. It was good.
Totally.
Yeah.
Matt May's an animal. That was the first time I met Isaac, but Matt May is an animal. I love it when he comes into sparring days because kind of organized rounds, like, okay, this person, this person, this person, this person. And then like somebody finishes up a really good round with someone they're comfortable with, and they're like, all right, you're going to go with Matt in the cage, and you just see, fuck.
You're like, oh,
can I just have an off round? Like, I don't want to do this.
I want to cry. And you love Matt because his attitude's the best. He loves sparring. He's the nicest guy.
Totally.
And we've been sparring for 15 years, and you always, some days you feel good. Like, hey, let's just go for shit. Some days you're tired. Let's just take it easy. And with him and I, it's always the same. So we come in there, and one of us lands something, the other one steps back in, and then it's a fight. It's hard sparring. And
totally.
And then he gets hissing through his mouthpiece, and you're like, this is fun.
Totally.
So,
yeah, he's a great guy to spar with. I haven't sparred in years. I remember years ago I sparred with Matt, and he hit me with a body kick, and I swear to God, my soul left my body for like a minute and a half. I was like, I died. I'm dead. I'm just officially retired. Matt killed me.
Matt killed me.
He's just a brute. He's awesome, though. I love him. So you got a big fight coming up next weekend, a big return fight. Now, you were never retired. You're just not competing.
Exactly.
We got to be specific about this.
Yeah,
there was no retirement.
There's no retirement. I just stopped training and got really fat and ate too much food and didn't do any sparring and wasn't going to the MMA gym.
Sure.
So, but not retired.
No.
Of course
the
not.
Competition never goes away.
Never goes away.
Always doing something. Always training, always competing in something.
Yeah. You can deny that fighter, spirited side, but it's always there. So
totally. Yeah. I'm pumped, man. Next Friday at Front Street Fights 18, you got a welterweight bout. Who's your opponent?
Jacob Hawk.
Okay. And he's a replacement.
He's I think he's the third replacement. So the second official one, I think. I'm not sure how many people signed contracts, but it's supposed to be Will. Don't go at first. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Then he felt an injury, I assume.
I guess he hurt his hand.
Sure. Happens a lot, unfortunately. Well, hopefully they can make that match again later on. That'd be an exciting fight. But Jacob's an exciting fight too. He's been in Front Street a couple times and have a good time watching him fight. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, me too.
Man, a lot of people, your fight specifically, not the main event, but you kind of think it was based on like the excitement around this thing.
It's all Jen, man. She we kind of agreed to do this thing as a family thing, right? You know,
Sure.
so that the social media promotions, tickets, and like now they have a semicolon T-shirt. Jen did all that.
Nice.
That was nothing to me. That part kind of stressed me out. I just wanted to compete, but she went on to social media and then announced the fight. And I don't know how many tables are in Front Street, but you know, between Jen's people and my work people, they sold like most of them gone.
Wow.
Within the first couple hours.
That's amazing.
I think it was like 12 tables.
She's a great publicist.
She's a great publicist. Yeah. All that was like, for a while, I was like, shit, I still got to show up and fight, right?
Sure.
You know, there's all this crazy promo and crap. And she's like,
Sure.
don't worry about that. Yeah, they all love you. So, she's just kind of done that and chased it. She's worked tirelessly. This has been like her job.
That's
so
awesome.
It has been really cool.
Good for her for doing that and giving you that support. And man, that's got to be it's nice to just not have to deal with that.
Not even a little bit.
Especially if somebody else is going to do it and do it so well.
And yeah, she's blown it up. I was like, you should go out there and fight. Everyone wants to see you. And he says, no, it's you. So that part has been cool.
And this is Jen, as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, world champ.
Jen, IBJJF world champ.
IBJJF world champ.
Yeah.
So she's no slouch out there either.
She wore that medal for weeks after we came back from IBJJFs. She's just had it strapped around her neck and just to rub it in that that I got bumped out of that tournament. She's like, hey.
She came home with a medal. I'm sure that was a fun car ride home.
Yes,
I got my medal. Where's yours?
It was awesome. She's hooked on jiu-jitsu. She loves it.
Cool.
She's obsessed with the sport. So it was. Coaching her in that finals match was the most stressful, intense thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Worse than when you're out there?
Oh, a million times. I love to fight, and I'm relaxed when I'm out there, and I get to kind of do my thing. Coaching it's a different animal, man. My girls laugh. They do this little thing where we have Jen's video, and we'll go back and watch it, and basically like the emotions come back and I'll be shouting at the phone, break those grips, come on the side control, and that thing memorized that I'm shouting at just watching this YouTube video like I was there, and I'm in the video shouting, and I'm shouting and sweating just watching it. It was a cool thing to watch her win that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hopefully the first of many tournaments for her.
She'll be defending now.
I know.
So we're looking at August going back, and she can defend her IBJJF World Championship.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's assuming she's at the same belt going back.
She's going to get bumped. She's going to be a blue belt.
Heck yeah.
Next, I think 2 weeks from now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ray was telling me you guys are having a big belt promotion.
Yep.
Very cool.
So she'll get bumped up.
That's awesome. Very cool. And then she can win one of blue and just keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. She's all yoked and ripped, too. So we cruised around that IBJJF tournament, and she looks just like she should be there. She's got guns and a tank top, and she's cruising around. She looks like all the other jiu-jitsu people.
Totally.
Yeah.
Fits right in.
Yeah. So it's cool.
You guys are like the most in shape 40+ people on the planet.
She's a wrecking ball. Yeah, she's older than me, too. I
Really?
rub that in as much as I can. Yeah, 5
I
days.
never would have guessed.
5 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So her birthday is 5 days before me. So I get to see how bad and how stiff I'm going to be next week. So if her back cracks or something, I'm like, oh, man, I better start stretching, because next week's going to be a rough week for me. Yeah.
Just by that week, you're
Yep.
a week older than me.
Yep.
That's hilarious. We're sitting down today with Brian the Semicolon Weber. First and foremost, as that phrase comes out of my mouth, dude, where does this nickname come from?
The semicolon. I say that because I'm less full of shit than everyone else, and I could prove it with an X-ray. No. So I don't know how much of the story you want on that, but I had a disease called ulcerative colitis. I guess you carry the disease forever.
Interesting.
But I had to have a total colectomy back in the day. And this was kind of my not retired thing. So most of my fight career, I was kind of going in and out of dealing with that disease and surgeries and medications as a result of that. So I don't have a large intestine. So when they take out your colon, they I had a colostomy for like 6-7 weeks. It's like the longest 6-7 weeks of my life. And then they put it all inside, but they man-make a colon. So I jokingly, like later, this came about. So when I recovered from that surgery, I kind of started competing again. And I work out at HP, so I have all these coworker friends, and they don't understand the fighting piece, but they support it. So they were coming down to one of the shows downtown. I don't remember what it was called, but, you know, they're like, what's your nickname? And I was like, I don't have a nickname, you know. And it was this group of smartasses, and they're standing around, and this guy named Shane, he kind of was like, well, you're the semicolon. And the whole group went silent. And they had been calling me this behind my back for years, right? Because I was like, and so they went silent, and they're looking at each other, and they're like, oh, shit. And I was like, that's awesome. That is badass. So it was like within a week or two of the fight. So I took my fight shorts back to the embroidery place and had them put a semicolon on my ass, right? So I was like, it's a man-made colon, so it's a semicolon.
That's awesome.
So since then, I've been the semicolon.
So they all just went silent, thinking this could go horribly.
This could go so bad, and
we've just lost Brian as a friend.
yeah, and he's gonna just go apeshit crazy in this work, because everyone thinks if you're a fighter, you're crazy, you're gonna beat someone.
Of course.
So I was like, oh, so it was tagged on me, and that's the thing about nicknames. You can't give yourself a nickname.
No, definitely not.
Someone has to give it to you, and I just kind of embraced that one. So,
It's perfect. It's
semicolon.
perfect.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. Ulcerative colitis. First of all, what is that?
So it's an autoimmune disorder.
Okay.
So it's where your immune system starts attacking your large intestines with antibodies. And if you're good at Google and stuff, I'll probably get this wrong. So I'm just making shit up because it's been about 20 years since I was real sick with it. But your large intestine gets inflamed. You don't feel good. You're passing blood. That was kind of the first signs. Diarrhea all the time. Exhausted, and my skin was kind of ashy. I was just crazy sick for a while. And it took a long time to figure that out. So once I got correctly diagnosed, you know, the doctor's like, you probably had this forever. So I'd been medicated for ulcers since junior high, and I never felt really good. It didn't like fully manifest itself till I got to college and was training crazy hard trying to wrestle at Boise State. And I was passing blood all the time. And everyone was like, well, you're just training so hard. You know, that's what it is. It's wrestling and the diet and cutting weight. And so I'd go in, and they would give me antibiotics, and they would medicate me for ulcers. And then finally...
Were these doctors telling you this? They're just like, oh, you're just training super hard.
It's just wrestling. Yeah, it's just wrestling. You're eating bad. You're eating poorly. So, you know, and I got treated that way for years and years and years. And someone at St. Luke's downtown was like, look, and food poisoning. That was one thing, too. They, you know, I'd go to the emergency room when I would get really anemic, and they'd put water in me, and they would say that you had food poisoning. And... finally, we had one doctor who's like, you've been here, you know, 3 times this year for food poisoning. And he's like, either you're the most adventurous eater I've ever seen, or something else is wrong. And so then they started scoping me and taking blood samples and checking for other stuff. And then I went to a GI doc, and then that's where they made the ulcerative colitis diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
So how long between the diagnosis and, I mean, what changed once you got diagnosed? Was it a change in medication? Did they say, hey, we got to do surgery?
Yeah. So we went through the medication process first, right? So I think surgery's kind of last resort. So I started taking like oral steroids. I took a real low dose of chemotherapy to try to calm your immune system down. I was just looped on painkillers. So I had like this bottle. It was basically laudanum. It was called tincture of opium, and then muscle relaxers for cramping. So I was bloated. I weighed about 40 pounds.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then I had like acne from all the steroids, and then I was high from like the pain medicines and all that crap. So we went through that for years. I did like the Azicol, Zolfidine, and all of that, and then, you know, I was never going into remission. I was sick constantly, and the doc's like, look, this is not, you know, not a way to live. So just get that thing out, you know. So we went in and just did the total colectomy.
Wow.
In, I think it was 2000. Yeah, because it was when the planes hit the Twin Towers, because I was home, like looped on pain medicine.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's how I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember it happening, or does somebody have to fill you in afterwards?
About the planes?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a dark story to kind of tell a humorous story about, but I was home, and I was just, when you're home from that kind of surgery, I think it was Percocet. I was just looped on Percocet. And Jen was still teaching, And so I went to put like I couldn't carry much stuff because I had a giant incision in my gut. So it was garbage day. But I walked out to the garbage can and I just like threw a little tiny bag in the garbage can because that was like all I could carry. And I'm in a bathrobe and I look like a madman. And my neighbor's like, isn't that crazy that the plane hit the World Trade Center? And I was, so dizzy, and I was like,
what are you talking about?
I was like, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't want to sound like an idiot because I was like, that sounds important, And so I was like, yeah, that's really crazy. And I went in and turned the TV on, and then it was just the planes hitting the Trade Center over and over and over again.
All day, every channel.
Yeah. And then, we got rid of the TV that day. I was like, this is messing with my head. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a crazy, crazy thing to kind of have happen at the same time.
It was bizarre.
What a time in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So how was the recovery after that?
The recovery was, I would say, rocky. So let me think here. If we go back, one of my first fights was like a week before my total colectomy. And it was, so my first fight was Trevor Prangley. So like just jump in, right?
Oh, nice. No slouch. Okay.
No slouch.
Cool.
And
cool.
So I was training for that. I'm like, MMA is great. And, I wasn't super healthy and I couldn't wrestle, but it was, as soon as you start MMA and jiu-jitsu, you're like, this is the coolest sport ever, right?
Totally.
I love this sport. This
Totally.
is, wrestling's a great base for that, but it was awesome. So I was training, and I always feel better when I'm training and working out hard and doing well. So, I was kind of going through this. I'm real sick and also training for a fight. So it's kind of this weird thing. And compared to now, me now would crush that guy back then. But I was like, I'm going to do a fight.
Sure.
And it was kind of the Wild West of MMA, right?
Totally.
At least what I saw in Boise at the time. And then, we traveled up to, the show in Coeur d'Alene. And Prangley didn't consider it the Wild West. He'd had several fights by that time. But
and this is even before he was in the UFC.
Yeah. I think he was about 22-1 or something. He'd had some fights, a lot of smokers and stuff. But
Sure.
He'd been in the cage.
Sure.
And in Boise, the fights were still in Nampa High. But I talked to my surgeon and I was like, well, is it okay if I get operated on a week after I have a fight? And she's like, I can operate on you in whatever shape you come in. So I was like, I think I'm going to do a competition, like in this MMA thing, right? She's like, okay. So I went up there and fought Prangley, and he like busted my rib open, and it was awesome, It was like, but I was right after the fight, I was hooked. I lost that fight. I lost the decision. We did like 2 5 rounds, and then the week after, I had my colon removed. So it was this bizarre. I was beat to crap from the fight. Sure. And then the surgery. So I'm sitting in the hospital, and black eyes and all this, and then I actually had a code blue like 2 days after the surgery, so I stopped breathing and they revived me. So recovery was an adventure. I got home. I think I spent about 13 days in the hospital. Came home, and I had a colostomy bag, which you gotta like glue to your body and change it out every couple days.
Sure.
Which was horrible. But I knew that I was going to get rid of it. So, I was just counting down this 6-week period. Like,
it wasn't a permanent thing. Just get through this.
Yeah, it wasn't permanent, but it was horrific, right? My wife and I were kind of just, we'd have to glue it on. And as soon as you get the surgery, you start losing weight. So this stoma thing, it's just your small intestines hanging out your side, starts changing shape. And you're gluing it up. At one point, my wife used this. You have this spackle kind of caulk stuff, and you glue a bag to you, and she glued me shut. Ooh. And so I started getting all distended and bloated, and we were crying. I'm like, oh, so we went to the emergency room, and they kind of, cleaned it all out. So we did that, and then 6 weeks. I've never been so excited to have a surgery in my entire life. So the total colectomy, for reference, is about a 7.5 hour surgery. The takedown, I think, is about 3.5 hours. And I was just, you can cut anything you want out as long as I wake up without this bag.
Totally.
And so when I woke up, Jen's like, the first thing I said was, is it gone? And I'm looking down, and I was like, that bag's gone. I was like, oh, it was so awesome. And so we did a lot of walking and running and just trying to stay relatively active between that. And so I had the 2 surgeries, the colectomy and the takedown. And then about 3 months after, I'd say those, I was actually back in pretty good shape. And in my mind, this was, it was like I was a fighter. I was going to be back. I was going to compete. Sure. So I was running, and I'd lean back out. And this one day, Jen, I was going to do like a 20-something. It was a pretty long run, but she dropped me off at Table Rock. We went up and down Table Rock, and I was going to run home to Meridian. And I did the run fine and got home, and then like food wasn't going through me all of a sudden. I was like, oh, this seems weird. I'd eat and I was just getting bloated up. And this was like in September. So I had an intestinal blockage. So I had to have that removed, and they went right back through the same incision. And they kind of, the doctor made one of these motions where they like and push all the shit out of you and cut it back up. So I had that. So I ended up having 3 surgeries that year. And then I think that's for that year. That's about it. So that was the big 3 for that year. And then after that, I was pretty good for several years, and I kind of started training again, running again. And then I fought in the Desert Brawl. I got my fancy Desert Brawl hat right here. Like about a year after. I don't know, recovery for me was always something I had to have like a goal or something to do. And I was like, I'm going to fight again. And so maybe 6-7 months after the 3rd surgery, I took another MMA fight and did the Desert Brawl. And we were training hard. I was like, oh, I love this. I'm back, and I'm going to do a fight again. And I was sparring and training, and I'm like, let's do this, right? So sign up, we hit there. And I remember warming up, and I remember up through my entire camp thinking, I feel good, I feel great. And I remember walking out to the cage thinking my guts are going to fall apart. Like, I got this big incision in my stomach. I'm like, it's just going to tear open. Mm-hmm. And it didn't. It did,
Of course.
Like, yeah, but you're walking in there like, why am I, this is madness, I'm like, I could just picture like just spilling out over the cage, but it didn't happen. I won that fight. And then,
how much did it mean to you to win that fight after the year you had before that?
Oh, it was so cool, man. And like, I remember Matt Lindland was like, he was doing the color commentary on the side, and it was, the Desert Brawl it was a growing show, but it wasn't exactly huge right then. So you could hear him talking, and I was pretty one-dimensional at that point. I was a wrestler who just wanted to fight. And, this guy was, he was kind of a Matt type. He wanted to stand up and bang. And I was like, I didn't care if it was a boring fight. I just wanted to fight. So I would shoot, take people down. And, if I couldn't take people down, I would lose. But I dropped down, shot, took him in. And I heard Matt Lindland say, this guy's wrestled before. And I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. And Matt Lindland, he acknowledged that I at least had an ounce of wrestling skills. So
he knows a thing or two about wrestling.
He's wrestled a little bit.
A little.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Man, what a recovery story. How does it affect you now?
I feel great. This has been the first time I'm not battling health in issues. I've really adjusted my diet. I'm eating really clean, so I'm not having to, take any medications anymore. We just kind of threw them all out. That was for years post-surgery. I was back on all the medications that I was, and I was like, it was just as bad as being sick before the surgery. And so we went through kind of this process once where one day I was like, I would take all my medications and then drive to work and then get to work and be really dizzy and just try to focus and survive at work. And so we're talking to my wife, I'm like, screw it. We stopped them all cold turkey one day, and I haven't really been medicated for the disease since then. So I feel pretty good. I've had some incidental surgery since then, more blockage, scar tissues, adhesions. But we've been over 7 years right now without a surgery.
Awesome.
And I've been pretty healthy for the last 2.5, 5 months specifically.
Do you have any dietary restrictions?
You know what? We used to do all of the dietary restrictions. We did homeopathic medicine. We did medical.
You do the no seeds or any of that
no
stuff?
No seeds, no nuts, no
popcorn?
berries, no fruit, no popcorn. And, when I became the most healthy was when we kind of just threw that out. And I eat a lot of plants, a lot of fruits, and a lot of protein.
Just smart.
Smart
eating.
Yeah, just, stay on the outside of the store. So,
sure.
I don't do, if I go and throw down a big bucket of popcorn, I'm going to pay for it the next day. So I don't do that day in and day out. I haven't eaten any popcorn in months, but everything else, that they would tell you to avoid, like roughage, spinach, it seemed like complete bullshit right now. So I do great on salad and protein.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you clean it up on the weekends with some pizza and beers.
Clean it. Gosh, beers. I miss beer. I like beer. I haven't had a beer in months.
Hey, post-fight celebration, many beers.
Tacos and beers, man. We're doing tacos and beers.
Perfect.
My daughter said that the other day. Oh, leg cramp there. Get a little more water in me. She was like, Dad, you haven't eaten anything besides like raw fish and salad and, berries for months. I'm like, yeah. We're going to have tacos real soon.
It's coming, and it's coming strong.
It's coming strong. I did eat a sandwich. Well, that's not true. I had like a quarter of a sandwich before that last hard sparring day. So I've been doing a lot of bread or processed stuff. But I did I don't remember when it was, like a few weeks ago, I had something that was a little more starchy than what I usually eat, and I felt great. I was like, people should know about carbs, you know.
Totally.
So I went to the store and got like a turkey sandwich before my last day. I'm like, I'm gonna have some energy the last day, and I don't avoid carbs. I just thought, you know, with a little bit of bread, I felt real good Friday. So
good, just get a little carb shot in you for some energy.
But I could only eat like a quarter of the sandwich. It was sad.
Your body's just used to what it's doing now.
Yeah.
It doesn't want any of that stuff.
Protein, fruit, and salad, man. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I hear you. Yeah, changed my diet a few months ago too, and cut out a lot of the carbs and clean it up as well. And it's funny, you get to that point where like I want to try something I haven't had in a long time just because I haven't had it. A few bites in, you're just like, no, I can't do this.
I like feeling good. I like having the energy and feeling good. Yeah.
Weird, right?
It's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And abs, though. You know, it's nice to be sure. I just kind of go shirtless most of the time.
They said abs need air.
Yeah, abs need air. They need to breathe, man. Yeah.
I'm not there yet. But we'll get there.
You look good. You lost a bunch of weight.
Thanks, man. Yeah, everybody asked me, like, how'd you lose so much weight? And I was like, well, it's crazy. I got back into exercising and eating well, and it's like the fat just came off.
People should know about this.
I don't know why more people don't subscribe to this theory. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know if it's just a fad diet or what, but the whole eating healthy and working out, man, I swear by it.
But people get bitter too, though. They're like, "Oh, I wish I could, you know, eat like you."
Totally.
Like, what? Or be built like you? I'm like, have you seen me? I've been fat. So yeah.
Not only that, but it's like you want to be built like that. Okay, come into the gym, spend those hours doing this, eat the way we eat, do this, you know, live the lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's not a short-term thing by any stretch. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and you got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work.
You do. You really do. You got to commit to it. You know.
Yeah.
People go a little crazy with the cheat days and, you know, the days off and all that stuff. So
yeah,
kind of undoes everything.
It's more thinking about the cheat days now. Now when I have a cheat day, I'm like, I just want to get back to eating good and training.
Totally.
You know, like the rest, I'm like, I get stressed out when I'm resting, so
can't do it.
Can't do it so well.
Yeah, in the same way. Start to get all just twitchy and just, I gotta go train. I gotta do something.
It's how I blow off that steam, man. Yeah.
Amazing. You started combat sports in wrestling, right?
I started in wrestling. Yeah, I started wrestling when I was 12.
12, okay.
Yeah, junior high.
Nice. What was that?
Glover Junior High, man. Yeah.
What made you want to wrestle?
You know what? If I would have seen it earlier, I would have started when I was a little kid. We weren't a wrestling family. I didn't have wrestling friends. But I think in the 6th grade, some friend of my mom's took us to a wrestling match, and this dude just bled all over the mat. And immediately I was, this is the best sport ever, right? You know, they stitched him up, and I don't think they stitched him up. They just stuffed, you know, cotton in his nose, and he went back out there and won. It was basically a fight, and I was like, oh, I'm a wrestler. You know,
I'm gonna do this.
I'd never wrestled, and so then I went to junior high, and they had a wrestling team. And I signed up and, you know, met some of my best friends and just wrestled. It's kind of how you define yourself after that.
Went from there.
Yep.
And then wrestled in college. Where at?
I came here to Boise State on a scholarship to wrestle.
Okay.
But it kind of, I wouldn't say it went disastrously bad. I met my wife day one in college, but that was, you know, right when I got here was when I was getting pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I spent a year and a half trying to be a wrestler, and then, you know, then I was just a guy who went to the wrestling room after that. And there was a big difference between training full-time to be a college wrestler and someone who was, you know, just showing up every once in a while to get a workout in.
Sure.
Yeah.
How understanding was the athletic program?
You know what? They were great. They didn't pay for my school after the first 3 years, but they were, you know, Coach Young and Randall and those guys let me come back in the room and still get a workout in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, BSU was great. And then I got my degree from there, so
worth it.
Totally worth it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
You met your wife?
I met my wife in the dorms day one.
Wow.
And we were just friends, but she was cool.
And she's significantly older than you, right?
Oh man, she married she's kind of a cradle robber. Yeah, she's 5 days older than me.
Oh, nice cougar. Okay, cougar.
Yeah. She makes up these, like, you know, she was a preemie. She was several months preemie.
Really?
So she's like, well, technically, I'm like, no, you came out first. You're older.
If I was born on time, you'd be the old one.
Exactly.
Smart.
Yeah, that's such a bad excuse.
That's funny. She's awesome. I met her a few times. She's super cool, and she's a huge Dexter fan. So.
She was a crazy,
we're
huge,
friends.
crazy huge Dexter fan. Yeah, that's right.
Was it her 40th birthday you did the kill room?
40th birthday. Yeah, and so I always bring that up. I mean, I've been milking that for years, but I could keep a secret, and I got like 100 people there and made this massive kill room with Viz Queen.
So
Got
cool.
all these pictures of all of our friends pretending like they were dead, and we surprised the shit out of her. She came in, and it was epic.
That's awesome. That's
And I haven't done
amazing.
anything useful since then, or surprised her. Or
Just keep milking it. Keep milking
thoughtful.
it.
Like, remember that one time? It's like, yeah.
For one birthday, you just got to hang up her gold medal and just say, "Hey, you remember this?
Remember that?
When you won that medal, I'll let you gloat for a while."
Yeah, you could do that again. She hangs it up at the gym, so if we go through the front door, there's me.
That's mine. That's my medal.
IBJJ.
I won that.
Gold medal.
It's a world champ medal, by the way. It's no participation trophy.
It's not a participation medal. Yeah.
That's all. Are you a Dexter fan, Tim? You ever watch Dexter?
I am a Dexter fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched all the seasons.
You got to
My
see some of the
ex-girlfriend got me
pictures,
into
man. We set up this super cool kill room. He posted it on
It
my
was epic.
Facebook stuff.
Yeah, it was-
Looks like it
yeah.
was straight out of the show.
We
That's
still
what's
have screw holes in the walls. So I was trying to figure out how am I going to like Viz Queen? You've been in my living room. It's vaulted, it's 2 stories. It's huge. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get Viz Queen over this 2-story room. And so I put these wall anchors in a square, and then I took ropes, and I had this crazy contraption. So inside of the kill room, it looked bad. It was awesome. It was straight up squared
Totally.
off. And our birthdays are July, so she's July 20th, and it was like 105 degrees outside. And so I had this like 1,000-foot square foot room of Viz Queen, where I duct taped it all up, and that room was like a sauna. and then I got the outfit with the shield and the thing and the shirt. So, and we had almost 100 people, including kids and all these people, in this Dexter kill room that was as hot as a sauna. And we sent Jen off for a spa day, and we're waiting for her to come back so we can jump out and surprise. And everyone was sweating and miserable, and there was all these false alarm. It's not Jen, and so we're in this kill room, and but it ended up being good.
Pretty epic.
Yeah,
Pretty
and,
epic. Well
and then we
done.
did donuts. We did because Dexter brings the donuts
Right.
every episode. So instead of
Smart.
a birthday cake, we had just this pile of donuts.
Perfect. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome. As soon as I saw the picture, I was super jealous. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's way cool.
So you go wrestle at BSU, meet your wife. What was your first exposure to MMA at all? When was the first time you saw it, heard about it? When did you first see this as even a thing?
Jens Pulver, man. He was at Boise State when I got there.
Oh, okay.
So, gosh, I think he's about a year and a half. Well, I guess it's just 1 year for school. But he wrestled in Washington, and then he came to Boise State to wrestle. And you'd seen the UFC back in the '90s, and it was just crazy. But Jens he started doing this thing, and I don't know if you'd met Jens. He was.
Once, briefly, many years ago.
He's an amazing dude, right? He remembers names, and he had a vision, right? That this is like going to be life changing, right? What are you talking about, man? He's like,
This is some crazy exhibition stuff.
yeah,
what are you
yeah,
talking about?
I think it was the Boss Rutan Invitational, right? So he'd kind of grab people, and he was using the wrestling room to train, and he went over there and he won the first time, and then I think he won the second time. So that was kind of it. It was just like, well, if Jens could do that, right? I think, and he actually stopped wrestling to do MMA. He just turned out to be, world class at it.
Totally.
So, we got to watch him, and they do the fights at the fairground and stuff, and you're like, well, that's a pretty cool sport, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember some downtown that were like they didn't call it MMA at the time. That was like a later terminology. They would call it just like cage fighting, but I want to say
NHB.
NHB,
No holds barred.
no
Yeah.
holds barred.
Yep.
And I think the one that I saw in Boise, like they called it like the Iron Man, but it wasn't like triathlon Iron Man. They
Yeah.
just called it that. That
Yeah.
was like the event or something.
And the first few, they were just slapping. They were.
Oh, Pancrase rules.
They had kind of pancreas rules, but they had a bunch of wrestlers, and they'd slap once and then mix a punch in and then slap, and there was no gloves, or they were wearing harbingers, but it was cool. But the rules were a little sketchy. I think Scott Marker actually fought in one of those back in the day.
I didn't know Scott Marker ever fought.
Yeah, he fought Eric Hines.
Really?
Yeah, yep. And he submitted him. And so he fought one of the guys that was wrestling at Boise State named Eric Hines, who also became a pretty good MMA guy. And, he had this jujitsu, and you're like, what is that, right? And so Eric was a wrestler. I'm like, well, wrestlers smash people. That's what they do. And Eric kind of got caught in something, and he was fine the first time. I would say in Eric's defense, because I saw the video, he kind of waved, and they stopped it, like, oh, shit. And so, they're going back, and this was back when, like, someone with a big video camera, no, he was waving. So they show the camera, they're like, oh, he just was waving. And so they, like, restarted the fight, and they did it again. And the second time, I want to say it was a guillotine. He shot into a guillotine. And he tapped out the second time. I mean, it was
legitimately.
It was a legit stoppage, but you got to complain. So, like, Jens, I love you if you're out there, but I think he got submitted the second time on that one.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, he's a legend, man.
Not Jens, Eric. I said Jens.
Oh yeah. Eric Hines.
Yeah,
nice.
That dude was crazy.
I'm sure he accepts it.
He'll take it. Yeah.
Man, that's way back when, like you said, you were talking earlier, and you talked about how back in the day, MMA was like the Wild West of MMA. It was not what it is now. Not even remotely close.
Soccer kicks. I used to have just dreams of being stuck under someone you couldn't take down and just having them punt you in the face.
Yeah.
That rule was bonkers. There was headbutts in some of the first, fights. I never got headbutted, but those rules were crazy.
When did you know that you needed more than wrestling?
Oh man,
was it before you really took a fight and you thought maybe I got to get my hands going, maybe I got to do some of this?
No, I came in there as kind of probably Jen just saying, without wrestling or an outlet. It was when I was done with school. I'd graduated, and we'd seen the jiu-jitsu thing, and I'd known Jen's in college, but she's like, well, there's a gym right down the street from us, and I was probably pretty fat at the time. That's what, when I fought Prangley, it was a heavyweight. But she's like, go try it out. And so I went in there and met Ben and Tunis, and I was like, this is cool, right? So it was more no-gi jiu-jitsu with punching. And so I was just kind of looking for something to do to stay active that was wrestling-ish. It was never a plan to go do NHB or anything like that. It was just needed some outlet.
Still competing in some sort of fashion, still training, still
exactly.
And something definitely in the combat sports vein of some sort, and
exactly
that was it.
That's
amazing. Man, talk about way back when. So this is what, like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there?
Yeah, right in there. I think because it would have been, I think my first fight was March 2000, so it would have been 19 years ago.
And Trevor Prangley was your first?
Trevor Prangley was my first fight.
Jeez, talk about a first fight.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And you went to decision.
I went to decision. Lost.
Awesome.
And I have this, I call it my Chelsonen rib. I have like it only shows up when I'm skinny, but when I look, this rib pops out. It's pretty cool. But we're sitting there afterwards, and we're all drinking beers, and they're replaying the fight, and Ben's like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty good, but this hurts, and so we're watching it, and then Prangley like backs up and knees me right in the side, and Ben's like, you think that could be what it was from? Like,
probably.
That's probably what it's from. But after you've done MMA and wrestling for a while, I think I have, Toby scars. I got a Josh Berkman, on my eye. So it's just, you name your body after the people that put lumps on you. So,
totally. And then there's just some you can't name because you get these injuries and, well, what happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, when did it happen? No.
Yeah.
Did you get Kimura or something? I don't know.
That's part of getting old, man. That's part of getting old. I've noticed when I wasn't training, I'd have my Prangley rib and my Berkman scar, and then all of a sudden my stories were changing when I wasn't training all the time. I'd be limping at work. Like, what happened? I was like, I rolled over to hit the snooze button, and I threw out my neck, and I can't move it. And so you got to stay training, or your stories turn really bad. So,
Totally. Yeah. Every time I see someone with a black eye at the gym, it's never from sparring. It's like, oh, I walked into a door, like my dog jumped on me and headbutted me. It's always something stupid.
Yeah. Well, as they say, with white belt,
never changes.
It's white belts, they still get black eyes, though.
True. They give them too. So you get some knees flying everywhere and gets a little squirrely. That's all right. We accept them. We just turn them into blue belts.
Eventually, yeah.
How was if you were just describe to somebody that didn't know, because a lot of people nowadays, they see the modern UFC, they see the modern MMA, and they just don't know that it was not like this early on. I remember as a kid watching the UFCs, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, renting those videos and stuff. And I can look at now and look at then, and just I have to tell people this is not what it was like. If somebody sat down and asked you, how would you just describe the difference between then and now?
It's oh man, it was the wild West. Now it's a legitimate sport now. You could buy MMA shirts at Walmart. You see grandmas wearing, tap out and stuff at church. So, but back then, no one really knew, right? You'd throw in, you're like, oh, let's take a wrestler and a Muay Thai guy and throw them at each other and see what happens. Or let's take this karate dude. And it was just like experimenting. And no one, the training was haphazard. It was crazy. When I came into the MMA, there was still, Matt May was a Golden Gloves kid with Muay Thai, and I was a wrestler. And so our training would be, I would just try to shoot and take him down, and he would just try to beat me up and stay on his feet. And that was kind of the mentality of MMA, was whatever your specialty was, you had to make it work. And there now guys train everything and they mix it together, and it's no longer one dimensional. And
totally.
I think also everyone's figured out like the upward palm strike's not going to kill anyone.
Totally.
The touch of death maybe doesn't work so well.
No, not
it's
at all.
kind of adjusted that. You still get people who are, I know someone who's a black belt and they're deadly, and like, or their hands are registered as deadly weapons.
Sure,
I like
sure.
that. So I think MMA has gone a long ways towards getting rid of that bizarre, traditional martial arts.
Takes the cultishness and the fantasy and all that stuff out of it a little bit.
The wire work, which you gotta love the wire work,
totally.
man. But it's too bad that those fights don't look like that.
I know. Wouldn't it be nice? It'd be cool if it all looked like Steven Seagal movies, but it's
Jason
not
Bourne.
at all. Totally.
I've watched Jason Bourne movies, and I'm like, oh man, if I could have a fight like that, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's like the greatest fight scene ever.
Yeah, it is so cool.
But fighting has ruined movies for me. It's just the more I know about fighting, the more I hate like fight scenes in movies. And it's just like I tell my wife all the time, we'll be watching stuff and like some dude will knock 5 people out and like, okay, that's fine, but 4 or 5 minutes go by and these guys haven't woken up. I'm just like, they're dead. Those people have brain damage now.
Yeah.
They're dead. Like they're not just gonna get up. And so just stupid stuff just ruins fights for me now.
And it's all Superman punches too.
Totally. Totally.
It's I don't know if it's gotten better or worse since MMA's come about, because now they'll add like a triangle or some jujitsu,
Yeah.
and then back to the craziness. So you'll see, whoa, I know what that was, a Superman punch, and then wait a minute, what? Now they're back to Filipino kickbox, whatever it
Exactly.
is,
Yeah.
choreographed,
Not taking
stuff.
any damage whatsoever and knocking people out in one shot.
Yeah, it looks cool though.
It does look cool. I start to appreciate. I think some people are catching on because we'll watch shows like Daredevil on Netflix, and it's like there's a lot of cool fight scenes, and I love the fact that they just let him get his ass kicked like a lot. Like you get punched back in fights. You
takes some
bleed.
damage.
You get punched. You hurt afterwards. There's a recovery time. It's just ruined fights for me. It's like you see behind the curtain now, and it's just like, nah, man, I can't watch these anymore.
It's not quite like that. Yeah.
No, not
Agreed.
Not quite. So that's 2001 is your first fight. When was your last fight?
I have to look back.
Was it the one in 2010?
6-7 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. 2013, I think.
2013. Okay.
It's something like that.
6 years, 7 years, somewhere around there.
I haven't dug into it. I'm like,
That's fine.
6-7 years ago. Yeah.
You stayed active either way, so it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
there's this definitive drop off and then starting back up again.
Well, technically, I think jiu-jitsu guys call jiu-jitsu fights. So
True.
if you want to, I don't know. If you're not punching someone, it's not.
Are they?
Fight. No,
They're not?
It's
Okay.
don't get mad at me, jiu-jitsu people. I love jiu-jitsu. It's not a fight though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that was a hot topic recently at the gym. Some people were talking about whether or not it's a fight. And what's his name? Josh Hinger made the point of like, well, it depends on how you use the terminology of fight. Because like you say, like my girlfriend and I were fighting. Well, were you punching her in the face? No. Okay, but you're gonna call that a fight, or like, I'm fighting for. Yeah, so and so's fighting for their life because they have X sickness. Is that not a fight? And so I think it's all just semantics, honestly.
Good one. And we love wrestling because it's like a fight.
Totally.
I mean, you use that as
Totally.
an adjective more than a fight, but I'm with you.
Totally.
in a fight, you agree to come and punch someone in the face.
Totally.
That's
I agree jiu-jitsu is not a fight. That's why I have to use like the terminology of like combat sports.
combat sports.
I do think it all qualifies as combat sports, but not everything's a fight.
We can make that a rule. Once you're punching someone in the face,
Then it's a fight.
then it's a fight.
Then it's a fight.
You could do chess, and if you're punching, it's a fight.
Totally. And I don't know if you know this, but when you add punches to jiu-jitsu, shit changes.
It does.
Oh, man.
It's beautiful. Then once
You're just a white
punches-
belt again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my man. You start adding punches, and now it's a
bet.
fight, and it's different.
I bet if you add punches to chess, you'd probably make chess look a little different too.
Dude, it makes things more interesting, right? It makes life more
Checkmate.
interesting.
Bro.
Yeah.
Have you seen the chess boxing?
Yes.
I have seen chess
That is
boxing.
crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is a weird mix of two, based on a song.
Totally.
They created the chess boxing. Yeah.
Does that originate from what, Russia? Where'd it come from?
It's Wu-Tang Clan,
Yeah.
right? Chess
Uh-huh.
boxing.
Chess
yeah,
boxing.
but where did it start? Like,
where
where
did
did people actually
I think it
start
was here.
doing chess? It was.
I think it was here. Yeah,
probably,
people
most
started
likely.
doing it here.
That's insane.
I think it's funny now, like MMA, it's the mix of obviously the combat arts, and so for a little while there, 10 years ago or so, they might still be doing it, but you started to see these things pop up that people were like trying to shoehorn sports together. Like, oh, we're going to do gymnastics, basketball, and it's all going to be on trampolines or whatever. They're just forcing two things together to make it like the new
Jazzercise.
mixed sport. It's like you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
We have MMA.
We have MMA.
That is
Yeah.
the mix.
We
It
don't
is the
need
mixed
anything
sport.
else.
Martial arts.
Back when you took your first fight, there was probably not amateur and pro. It was just you fought.
You fought, and yeah, that's so. My pro record got adjusted for this fight, and I was totally fine with that. But you got paid in some of them. You were in a cage. Some of them you were in boxing rings. I had fights where I think we did boxing fights where we agreed to throw elbows and knees, and then we punching jujitsu. So it was there weren't amateur and pro matches, and so you'd travel and you'd get paid someplace, and then you come back and fight amateur. And then I also did some amateur boxing, but I had some cage boxing matches and just crazy shit. And you'd take your fight bag and you'd show up, and they'd find someone about your size, and you'd be like, okay, we're fighting tonight.
Totally. Do you want to be on the card?
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
find someone
We wanna
else.
Fight. So you bring your gym bag and you'd show up, and so there was amateur-ish and pro-ish, and for a while it was were you getting paid, and then it was, did you sign a contract, and then it was there a cage, and then there was pro and amateur rule set. So it was
Did you have shin pads? Did you not have shin pads?
yeah, exactly. Could you throw elbows, that kind of stuff. So
Man, what a heyday.
it was awesome. Yeah.
So coming into this fight, what do they list your record as?
8-5 is pro.
5.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Man, you fought in the dark ages. So much of that stuff isn't on Sherdog and Tapology and all that stuff.
Invisible. Yeah. And they had my name spelled wrong. I think I actually fought twice in one night, lost both times too. They don't allow that to happen
No,
anymore.
you can't. Don't do the multiple fights in one night thing anymore,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I think the last time I saw that was on like a Strike Force card, and I was 100% sure that it was banned at the time, so I don't know how they got away with it.
So it
but-
is banned.
Yeah, you can't do multiple fights in one night anymore. They don't do like the
They don't do
bracket
tournament
style.
styles or anything?
Nope, none of that stuff. You just fight
Wow.
one fight, one opponent. You're training just for that fight.
Since
no more
when?
tournaments.
How long has this
This
been?
has got to be since like
Early
05?
2000s?
yeah, it's got to be around
mid-2000s?
2005. Yeah,
Wow.
I think
Earlier
is when
even,
they
maybe?
changed that.
Yeah.
It might be. It was around then.
Yeah. No more
I-
tournaments.
I don't follow it enough to know like those specifics,
Mhm.
but that I'm kind of surprised because I think there are a lot of fighters out there who would kind of prefer to do a tournament style competition. Just get it done
Nowadays-
within like 3 days and
Yeah,
just have
yeah.
like, hey, who's the champ? Do it in 3 days. Get it done with.
And they've sort
how it
of like
works. I don't know how it
modified that with some of the Grand Prix. They've modified that to where overall it's tournament style, but it's over like a year. So it's like
Gotcha.
we do the first bracket on this night, and then 3 months later we go from there, and then 3 months later you go from there, and then it's the championships or whatever.
Kinda
So you're
like-
still fighting in one night in a tournament bracket over like
Yeah.
a year or whatever. They just did it with the
Gotcha.
heavyweights in Bellator.
Did you
It's-
watch that?
it's
One punch
Unbelievable.
fight? Yeah.
I was not. I told.
What
man.
is this?
So Matt May and I were talking about this fight on Friday night, and he was like, "Oh man, this is such a good matchup." And I was like, "Yeah, man. If you want to see Bader get knocked out in the first round, I mean, diving into some of his takedowns from halfway across the cage, that works with Mitrione. That's not going to work with Fedor." And Matt May was like, "Really?" You don't think Bader's gonna win this one? I think he even said like kind of easily, and I was like, no way, not a chance.
You know what I think was the key in that one was, man, I'm all for people fighting until they feel like it's not time to fight anymore. Fedor was already talking retirement and being done before that fight started, which to me that always makes me nervous when people say, I got one more, I'm going to do one more, I'm going to, and he seemed done before they were
really?
Talking,
That's interesting.
What if you win? What are you going to do next? And I think he'd hung it up before he went in there. He still looked Fedor-ish. He was moving well, but I mean, and obviously his chin didn't show up for him, but he seemed done before he started that one.
So maybe like the last one was really he was saying, I'm retired, but I'm going to do one more.
Yeah, and they're gonna pay
maybe.
you. Yeah, I need the money. Yeah, that's
they
terrible.
pay him pretty well, that's for sure. Bad reason to fight, but he just doesn't
and
make
he
good
deserves to get paid. Yeah, so,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, he's still the heavyweight GOAT. I mean, it gotta be.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Yeah.
Who else?
And I was I told my girls that, and I didn't realize that I hadn't done my Fedor homework with them, and I was like, "This is the greatest MMA guy of all time, right? I mean, probably better than Anderson Silva, Mighty Mouse. He's right up there." And they're like, "Dad, this is just some fat old guy." And I was like, how do they not know about Fedor, man? So we've done some Fedor reconnaissance since then. Like,
pull up the old Pride days.
Yes.
All in the Pride days, man. Holy moly. That guy was invincible. And even afterwards for a long time.
He was a wrecking ball, man. It just so calm.
And everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
On the ground.
I mean, he'd stand up on the ground. It didn't matter. He'd beat you everywhere. And yeah, you would never know by looking at him. Bald, fat, just unassuming, quiet.
He should be everyone's hero.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, if he does retire, he's got nothing to be ashamed about. That's for damn sure. And it's probably time.
It's probably time.
Yeah. I hate to see the Chuck Liddells of the fight world that just stay on for 1, 6, 10, however many too many fights somebody like that has.
For money.
Yeah.
It's terrible to go out for money, man. If the fight's still in you and you want to do it, I'm all for that. But for money is a terrible reason to fight. You should fight because you're chomping at the bit to get in the cage.
Totally.
Yeah, for money's a bad thing to do.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson did it. I mean, he even admitted when he fought McBride.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, if I don't knock this dude out by the 5th or 6th round,
he knew.
Then I'm just going to throw the towel in. And he didn't knock him out by the 6th round. And what did he do? He threw the towel in.
I'm done.
Straight up.
Yep.
He admitted this is all for the money.
Yep.
He's got bills to pay.
Yep.
He got paid what, $12 million for the fight or $6 million for the fight? He got paid enough to pay his bills off. That's it.
Yeah.
And he was literally admitting that he was doing it only for the money.
Yeah.
Where he could have easily McBride was a slop show, dude. That guy was just like a giant who was just a big fucking dude. And
no business winning that fight.
Yeah, he had no business winning that. He shouldn't even have been in that fight. I think he lost the next fight right afterwards and just got completely annihilated.
And now he has a win over Mike Tyson.
Totally.
And he has exactly, right?
By throwing in the towel, and he will have that forever.
Where Mike Tyson could have easily just gone the distance and just outboxed the guy just based on his record, having fought the greatest in the class for the last decade plus. 17, 18 years. 2005, is that when he fought McBride, right?
Was it 2005?
2005, I watched that.
Dang, I thought it was earlier than that. That's crazy.
2004, 2005, yeah. I remember seeing that. We had pay-per-viewed it, and we were so bummed when he gave up. We were like,
what?
Good thing we have a bunch of liquor and beer that we raided from your parents' closets. Because at the time we were 19 years old.
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Anyways.
So
sorry to interrupt.
You going on record to say Fedor's the greatest of all time?
Let's go Fedor's the greatest of all time, man.
Okay.
Dude, he was incredible. And he stayed in maybe past his prime. That Verdun fight was kind of the downward fall. Maybe he should have been done right there. But I think at that point, no one would have disagreed, maybe except Dana White.
Well, and even in his last couple fights, he finished Frank Mir, who was looking pretty decent, and finished Chael Sonnen, who was always a threat.
Yeah.
And he finished them both and made it look pretty pretty easy.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, I could see how you could go on. I was looking at Fedor's record afterwards, and I was thinking, like, hasn't he lost, like, I don't know,
5 fights?
five or six, and they've been like most of his last fights. In his last 10, he's like 7-3.
Yeah,
That's better than I expected.
yeah,
That's crazy. But all of his losses have come definitely like the later part of his career.
yeah. And then one no contest right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I think it was a cut or something.
Mm-hmm. Who's the best now?
Pound for pound?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy, it's gotten changed up, right?
Who's up there at the top? Maybe if not just the one. Who's top 3?
Whitaker's fun to watch, man. You know what? I'm going to go Khabib. I had to think about that for a sec, but straight up Khabib, man.
Agreed.
Huge fan of Khabib.
Agreed. I don't follow MMA as much as I used to, but I definitely pay attention to like the marquee guys, and I don't know who beats him.
Yeah, I like Khabib too because I think right now in MMA, if they put a mic in front of you and you don't call out Conor McGregor, you're a moron, right? That's just Anderson Silva wants to fight him just for the money.
Totally.
And Khabib he's kind of done with that. And he's like, give me Tony Ferguson, right? The next toughest guy in the
Totally.
In the lineup is who he wants. So
Does Tony Ferguson have a shot?
no,
I don't think so either.
I think he
kills
smashed. Him. Yeah.
What about Max Holloway?
No.
Still no?
I don't think so. I think if he goes up, he's got some tough fights higher, right?
Right.
I don't know if GSP gives him a match. I think
Not now, I don't think. I don't
GSP of
think
old,
now.
maybe. Yeah, GSP of old.
Who's also dealing with his own UC, by the way.
I've seen that. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yep.
His own what? Sorry.
Ulcerative colitis. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
yep.
That's what pulled him out of MMA in the first place. Was he retired to address that?
Yep.
Then he spent 4 years away dealing
So-
with it. Came back and fought, and it came right back. And he said, "I got to get this figured out."
Yep.
What exactly is ulcerative colitis?
It's autoimmune.
So essentially, autoimmune means your body attacks itself.
Yep. It's building up antibodies against your large intestines.
And it's only directed at your large intestine.
There's some other with ulcerative colitis. It's mostly your large intestines, but there's some like vision.
But it's with your digestive system in
Yep,
general.
yep.
Is your vision? Are your eyes connected to your vision somehow? I mean, I'm sorry. Yes.
They sure are.
to your colon.
They're a key part of your vision. Yeah.
Yes, I mean to your colon is what I'm saying. To your digestive system. Is there a reason why it would attack your eyes versus your intestines?
That's a great question.
Very different.
I might have known that 20 years ago, but I've not researched the disease. But I also had like kind of an ashy, patchy skin thing going on when I had the disease real bad. But I'm not
But
sure
it attacks
about
one or the other. You have two options, or I mean, like two like.
No, those
types.
were potential side effects, right? Like, so your ulcerative colitis, the main thing is the lining of your intestines are kind of attacked by the disease and they're bleeding, and you can have ulcers and things like that. Other parts of the disease where you can have, some vision issues and patchy skin, stiff joints, just kind of.
I'll assume. I would think that the vision issue is probably because your digestive tract is being somehow there's some inebriation process where it's not able to maybe digest certain types of minerals or vitamins that are essential to your vision or something.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
that would make sense though, especially if you're because they say that 80% of your immune system is related directly to your digestive tract.
Yeah.
So it would make sense, especially if you have your inner workings are not working.
Yeah.
It would make sense that if you are lacking certain things, deficiencies in vitamin K or whatever it might be that are directly related to like your vision, it's very possible that like those things would be a direct result of having something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with great health throughout my life, and for me, it's very interesting to listen to and hear the stories from people who have been impacted by things that are not super common. Like, I don't know, you're the only person I know who has had this type of a diagnosis. So for me to like listen to it, I've had friends who have Crohn's disease and celiac disease and very similar, digestive issues, but I don't know anybody who's had. I had one person I played ball with back in college who had his intestine removed, like his like a full colectomy.
Yeah.
Where they took everything out, and he's had serious issues. Unfortunately, it's like every time I check in on him, he's like in and out of the hospital.
Yeah.
But I think there's more directly related to it than just like one or two issues. He probably has a collective of
For sure.
a lot of problems. But,
For sure.
for somebody like you who has been able to overcome those issues, I mean, one of my old business partners was, a Crohn's disease diagnosis, and this individual was, he was fighting something that, to my understanding, is extremely intense. Like it can really debilitate you in certain capacities, and
if you let it, for sure.
Yeah,
that was one of the things when I say we, I always talk in the we because I kind of walk through everything with my wife and family and friends. But when we got the diagnosis and opted for surgery, the surgeon was like, you have a pretty good chance at having a reasonably normal life if you do this. Like, and normal was just like, it sounded like a death sentence. We're like, fuck normal, man. That sounds so terrible.
You can sit on the couch and watch TV all you want.
Boring, but I remember that they were just like, you could have you have the potential to have a normal life, and I was like, no way. That's it. Yeah. So there's got to be some.
Normal's so boring.
Normal's so
it's
boring.
It's so boring.
So boring. Yeah. It's fuck normal.
You don't want that.
No.
You're an athlete. You've got an ambition. You have goals. You have a drive.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have a family. You want to accomplish it. You want to be an example.
You got to be an example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want to be somebody who is, looked up to, and not just.
You just got to face yourself in the mirror, man.
Yeah,
you don't have to look up to me. I just have
Don't be boring. Yeah. Don't be normal.
Don't be normal.
Nobody wants to be fucking normal. Sorry.
If you love sitting on the couch watching TV and like doing nothing, great. And if
more power to you.
If somebody says you can live a normal life, and you go, awesome, that's all I want. Okay, that sounds really appealing. But to somebody like Brian, that sounds awful. That sounds like the worst thing ever to be relegated to that lifestyle.
That's a death sentence, man. Yeah, that is death.
Or if even somebody who is passionate about playing piano,
riding your bike,
whatever,
canoeing,
yeah,
that's not normal.
Even getting out and riding a motorcycle,
yeah.
So
I always pose the question.
Normal. Don't be boring.
I always pose the question of like, there's a million passions in the world: playing guitar, canoeing, running. We just named a few. What is it that made some of us, in your case, you obviously, pick this? Like what about it you just see? Because you said you were a kid the first time you saw wrestling and went, okay, I immediately want to do that. Did you see someone play piano and go, man, that's me? That is me. I want to do. No, right?
I can play some songs on the piano. I can chopsticks, and I did a lot of piano lessons. I actually was in a traveling choir when I was in grade school.
Really?
Right? And I sang soprano until my voice changed, but would go around and do the competitions.
Nice.
But it maybe wasn't me. I was in there.
Sure.
You could edit this out.
You weren't going to make a lifestyle out of it.
That was not going to be
my
lifestyle.
I was in Kiwanis Boys Choir.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, and we traveled. We went to Oregon and
but when
we went to Washington. Yeah.
When you found combat sports in any capacity, of course it's early on, but in any capacity, you immediately sounds like you knew.
Man. I
just knew right away.
You know what? So you'd have to go to that first fight, right? You come into the gym and you start training with people, and these people in jiu-jitsu and boxing and all of these combat sports, you become very close with the people you're training with very quickly, right?
Totally.
The level of trust is through the roof. If I'm going to choke you out or you're going to choke me out, I have to trust you that you're not going to do bad things to me after you choke me out. Or if you catch me and we're boxing, if you wobble me, are you going to follow me in and finish me off, or are you going to give me a little bit of space? Hey, are you okay? Check on me. So the level of trust just with the people you're training with is huge, right? So when I started training, I think it was Ben Antunes, maybe Marcos. I don't think Matt May was there for my first fight, but you know what? It was just Ben. So we flew up there, and again with Jen kind of like being the brains of everything that I've done. I'm packing my bag, and I'm putting a cup and a mouthpiece. That's all you needed back then, cup and a mouthpiece. I don't even think maybe we did have gloves on that one, but I'm putting it in there. And Jen was kind of laughing, and she told Ben, all right, when Brian like freaks out, you're in the hotel room and he starts throwing his shit all over the room. She's like, remind him his cup and his mouthpiece are in this side pocket, and so we get to the hotel room, and I'm, you didn't know what a fight was like.
Totally.
So I was nervous. And I'm thinking through, like, what do I need for this? Like in wrestling, I need my wrestling shoes and the singlet. That's it. So I'm like going through. I need a cup and a mouthpiece, and I got my shorts. So I go through my bag, and oh no, I don't have my cup and my mouthpiece. And so I'm throwing stuff all over the hotel room.
As predicted.
And I don't know if you've seen Ben's smile, right? He's got that ear-to-ear smile, and he's just sitting in there grinning. And he's watching this like it's a repeat of a show we've both watched. And he's like, "Are you serious, dude?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm here, and I don't have a cup or a mouthpiece, And he's like, side pocket. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. He's like, your wife said when you forget all this, So he was kind of there reminding me of, we've trained for this, we've done this. And then you get to the fight, and you're ready, and you're going back there. You get to pick your song. I'm super superstitious about the song, right? So you got your song going out, you're gloved up, and that feeling when you're standing behind the curtain and you got your, I'd call them your, a good friend will help you move. Your best friend will help you move a body. So you got your these are your move a body level friends, right?
Totally.
You're standing behind this curtain. They're playing your music, and it's just time to go out and do what you've been training to do. So I was hooked right there. And then you get to go have a fight, right? But that part kind of just, oops, I hit the mic, blanks out, right? So you just, all this preparation, and then you kind of relax for a while. You make weight. That sucks. You eat, hydrate, and then you get to stand behind the curtain with your best friends. They play your music, and you could just feel it. Like, I get to go get locked in a cage, man, and get in a fight. It's going to be awesome. But then it's like the memories of that in the cage fight part are less for me. My, big memories, and, I love that fighting. And I always like the feeling, win or lose, is to go out there and go crazy hard and just get to demonstrate what you've learned.
Sure.
But just the experience of getting prepared and warming up and going through those, and then just getting to do it in the cage, boxing, whatever it is I don't know, man. It's awesome.
It's kind of everything before and everything directly before, directly right after is really, like, when you think about it, the most important part.
Yeah.
And the fight's just what you do.
The fight's what you do, right? You go in there, and hopefully you do what you've been training to do, and
It's very primal.
it is.
When
yeah.
you go in there, it's very primal. Like when I'm in the ring, at least, like, I feel like I'm literally fighting for my life.
You
And
should. Yeah.
The type of endorphin and a bunch of, you're getting an influx of noradrenaline and adrenaline and norepinephrine and dopamine. Like, everything is just like flood your system.
Yeah.
And you get this feeling where you completely nix everything outside of what is in front of you. You don't hear anybody. You don't have any clue. Like, when I'm watching these fights on TV and I see these coaches from the edge of the ring and they're screaming and yelling, I don't think, for the most part, until there's a situation where somebody's backed up on the cage, and this is just my own personal interpretation, but when I played football and there were like 20,000 fans around us and I was on the field, I didn't hear shit.
You don't
hear anything.
Yeah.
The only thing you hear, and that's why they use signals, right, is because and the person directly next to me, the only people I actually remember ever hearing is the person making that call and the person right next to me, making sure that if I was working directly with them on a certain type of a play call, that they were in tune with what I was doing and making sure we had the play correct, right? But that's it. You don't hear anybody outside of that. And so when I'm watching these fights and you have like almost a complete system shut off except for fight or flight.
Yeah.
Live or die, death or glory.
It's kind of
Ride
like
or die.
a big funnel, right?
It is.
In life, you have all of these focuses, right? Life, job, kids, family. And then as a fight's coming up, the funnel starts getting smaller and the rest of life starts, it comes out of the funnel, right? And you cannot think of stuff. I always joke the last week before a fight, I shouldn't be driving because I'm in, I'm kind of shadow boxing and picturing walking out. And then you hit the bottom of that funnel and it's like a needle point of focus, right? You're just so, singularly focused on, okay, it's time to go fight. I'm going to go punch this guy and he's going to try to punch me and I have to,
Death or glory, man.
death or glory.
Death or glory. That's exactly how I see it, man.
Well, it's a weird thing too, because I feel like that's almost the difference between people freezing and people fighting is when you're in that moment, is everything that's happening around you the most important thing, or is what's right in front of you the most important thing? Because you can either get in there and everything else disappears.
Yeah.
It all goes away. Like you said, it all goes
Completely
quiet.
dissolves.
It all just disappears and you're only focused on what you're doing. Or what's in front of you, but you're super focused on like, my family's out there and the noise and like the distraction and the lights and like here I am, and it's everything outside of the cage or the ring or the mat or whatever becomes the most important thing to you, and you just die. You're dead right there.
And that's the draw to fight, is that focus,
Exactly
man.
right.
That focus you get
Totally.
for that 15 minutes is awesome.
Close that cage and that's it. That's the
just
only thing that matters.
The only thing that matters. And, I think people like me in the TV phone generation, we're so fully ADHD that you have all this crap
Totally.
going on. And so with a fight, it all goes away, just for an instant, and you crave that forever. So this one has been a lot of fun for me, just focusing on that, like the stress of, and I'm big on kind of visualizing walking through this. That was why it was hard when Will was injured, was I've spent 5 months, focusing on Will, and it's a long southpaw, and it's a guy swinging hammers, and he's a tatted up, intimidating looking dude.
Sure.
And there's no scene in Rocky IV where he takes down Ivan Drago's pitcher and puts another one up.
Right, for sure.
Shoot. So that just happened a couple of weeks ago, but it's that focus that you just are kind of drilling down, and mentally, you're mentally preparing to face that guy. I don't remember back in the old days what it was like when you just had your gym bag and showed up and
Had
fought
no idea about your opponent.
Yeah. Now it's and I guess that is, moving on to bigger shows with Front Street Fights and then pulling bigger names, and you get people where you're like, I get to focus on this one guy, which is pretty cool.
Well, and the way that MMA is so popular now, you have so much more access to your opponents and
YouTube,
and that.
man.
I mean,
You
YouTube,
gotta
social
love
media,
YouTube, yeah.
social media. You can jump on Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, even seeing their past fights and just knowing about them in the community, because there's a community now. It's not you and like this 5 dudes at a weird niche gym that do this weird thing that no one else does. There's like a community now, so you can see and you learn and and you just didn't have the access to it.
Yeah, it was different.
Way back then. And going back to like the tournament days, you might be able to research some of the main guys. Best case scenario, you knew just based on the last tournament or whatever. Okay, I remember Ken Shamrock. That's the dude that's yoked and likes to take people down and punch them or whatever. But part of the reason they stopped doing tournaments was because you'd get injured in the first fight, and then you'd be replaced by whoever a secondary person was. And this was a person you had no idea. You didn't even know that they were there. It was just like, oh, well, Todd's gonna jump in and he's going to replace Ken because he broke his hand in the last fight. And now, so it didn't matter. Like, everybody you fought was a stranger. Everybody you fought was a stranger. There was no, and I can't imagine, like, just going in, I'm going to fight someone. It's just a guy.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, is that better or worse, knowing or not knowing?
I was trying to think of that, yeah, because we had fights
Might be
where
better.
you know what, it was different.
The better man wins, I think, in that case. Like, the individual who's better at what it is they're better at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, even still now, you compete in jiu-jitsu. Have you ever researched any of your people that are going to be in your bracket?
No, great
No,
point.
you just go in and go, nah,
You show up.
let's go. But I mean, it's different.
You're not getting punched in the face.
It's
in
not a fight.
jiu-jitsu. It's not a fight. Dude, so many jiu-jitsu people are coming after us after this. I love jiu-jitsu. I have like 7 gis right now, so
Totally.
don't hurt me, jiu-jitsu people.
I mean, I've boxed and I've done jiu-jitsu, and I mean, getting hit in the face is. I've always maintained that I think everyone in the world should get punched in the face once, because it is a way different experience than you expect it to be the first time you are punched.
It is that.
It's not anything like you expect.
No, I tell everyone that. They're like, what if you get punched in the face? And I'm like, you know that fear you're having right now when you voice, what if you get punched in the face? That's worse than getting punched in the face, right?
Way worse.
You go out and you get punched in the face, and you're like, that wasn't so bad. Even elbows. You get hit really hard, and it's not bad at all, right?
Totally.
I mean, I've never gone to sleep, but, I've been wobbled, and you're like, getting wobbled is not bad at all. Getting like hit in some weird place where it hurts really bad, like a liver shot, that's miserable.
It sucks.
You pretty much think things are shutting off, but getting hit's not that bad. Everyone should be hit. You're totally right.
Totally. And
voluntarily, who wants to get hit? No one should.
Nobody wants to get punched.
It just everybody line up and just take one, because, like you said, it's not nearly as damaging as you expect, but it is like a little bit. It's a different feeling than you've ever felt before. So just to know what that's like, to know that you're okay, and to recognize that, to recognize the feeling of getting punched and going, okay, all right, I'm good.
Have you seen Green Street Hooligans with
Yeah,
Elijah Wood?
I have.
He says he's like, it's good for you to mix it up and find out you're not made of glass.
Made of glass. I was
Totally.
just going
Totally.
to say that.
Yeah.
Like
It's a great line, right?
Yeah, once you get punched in the face, you realize you're not made out of glass, and it's very true. And I think Mike Tyson says it pretty well. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Or punched in the mouth.
Punched in the mouth.
Punched in the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they realize that, fuck, what do I do?
Now what?
That was
what?
part of the cool part of early MMA, though. When you had guys who weren't sparring, right? So now you got like Ricky Steele is a great example. He's a karate guy who spars and has made it work in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
You had karate guys who hadn't sparred, who believed that it would work in MMA, which is a different animal, right?
Totally.
So you'd get high-level karate black belts who obviously had never been hit fighting Muay Thai people and wrestlers. And in the early days of MMA, you got to see that. So guys would go out there and they truly believed their martial art was deadly.
Totally.
And they were hopping out there. And I remember at Sidekicks, they used to throw fights out there, and you'd see that. Like someone, they'd come in and meet, and they get popped in the face. And that look of, oh, shit, I'm in a fight, right? And it was just, that was awesome.
This isn't a point game anymore.
It's not a point game anymore.
It's not a point game anymore.
Yeah.
That was no, that's super true. I was thinking about this the other day because I really like to geek on like old Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, their professional karate stuff, because there's a few videos out there where you can see some of their tournaments and stuff, some of the fights they did. And I've always wondered, like, do you think these individuals at the top of their game at the time, would they be able to translate that into an MMA game? Do you think that discipline, of course the discipline, because to be at that elite level you'd have to have that discipline, but do you think it would translate well into the MMA game? Do you think that they can take like a legit hit?
Sure. I think, but it would have had to change, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
MMA changed
It has to
the
morph
the whole game of that
Totally.
kind of fighting, and so guys adapted quickly, right? I'm sure they'd had a miserable first fight, but
Sure.
that kind
learn
of
quick.
skill and training would have adapted.
They
I
would
think
have to start learning the other stuff.
they would have to start learning the other stuff, like what's his name, Stephen Thompson. He's a karate guy. There's several of them now, but they started sparring. I think they started, working. I think they maybe did full contact, but you have to spar. You have to get taken down. You have to learn that there's no art that's so deadly you don't have to work on your ground fighting.
Totally.
MMA fixed
Totally.
that too. I
Totally.
love the
Yes.
people who would tell you, well, my martial art's so deadly we don't have to train on the ground. You're like, watch the NCAA Division I wrestling finals, right? Like, you meet one of those guys,
You're going to the ground.
You're going to the ground. Yes.
Even just your downtown, like whatever you were talking about, tables and bar stools and tripping, and like the chances of a fight not going to the ground is silly to me.
Yeah.
Is it Boss Rutan, the guy who does the
Oh, he's
the
awesome.
online videos of like the bar, how to survive a bar fight?
Yeah, he does, dude. He's
like,
hilarious.
The table.
Grab, yeah.
Oh, he is awesome.
He's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, grab the, what is it, the ashtray, smash cross head. And he's like smash
He's
across
so
the dude's
funny.
head like bar fight. Grab anything you can possibly grab and destroy
And
the
hit
guy in
them with it.
front of
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Anybody who's listening, go look that up. Google it. It is Bassroom.
Boss Room self-defense.
Room.
Yeah.
Boss Room,
Oh, he
yep.
was the
Self-defense.
best.
Yeah, that
Self-defense,
guy's so
yeah.
funny. Dude.
And he's like
the best.
bong bong, the sound effects in his accent, and then he
so
acts
Russian.
through the scenarios
He does,
too. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, you're
Actually
looking at my
grab it.
girlfriend. Yeah, he's like
so-
stabbing people and hitting them with chairs.
Yeah, here's the pool cue because you look at girlfriend. Yeah, exactly, totally. That's
Have
so
you
funny.
have you seen that guy on YouTube that like he's like going through the Oriental countries and like basically challenging grandmasters to like an MMA fight just to expose them.
Oh,
Like
I was
it's
thinking
his
about this
goal to
earlier.
like expose all of, and he's been wildly successful up to this
Is that
point.
like McDojo?
He's the guy in Japan who got like chased out, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna talk about this earlier.
Totally, because
about
he's
the-
going around. He'll just challenge like, "Give me your grandmaster," like, and you'll see this like 50-year-old dude with 11 stripes on his belt get just demolished.
in an MMA fight.
Get his ass
Well, yeah,
beat.
because he'll be like, well, they just call it like a basically a no holds
fight.
barred fight, right?
Okay.
Okay, you can use whatever you want. I'll use whatever I want, and they
that's
just
awesome.
get fucking wrecked.
That's awesome. You
And then,
gotta-
yeah, they basically chased him out of Japan. Just like get out of here.
The MMA has been great for that. I
Totally.
used to work with people who had styles that were banned in MMA. Oh, my style's banned, and I
Whatever.
was so new. I ran into a coworker, and this is like 19 years ago. This person's not there anymore, so I could talk bad now. But there was a fight in like the Nampa Civic Center, and I was competing that night. And he was like, "Oh, my style is very traditionalist, and we do this and this and this." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Maybe it was a week out or something. And he's like, "But we're banned in mixed martial arts." I'm like, "That is badass.
It
That
must be amazing.
That is incredible." I was like, "I'm a wrestler. I'll take the guy down or I'll get beat up." And he's like, "Oh yeah, in my style, we don't train to go on the ground." And I was like,
What?
What? And I was like, you don't have to train on the ground." He's like, "Nah, we just." I'm like, "Well, that doesn't work." I've been wrestling for my entire life. I'm like, "Well, that's not going to work." Right?
That's
It was-
unrealistic.
That's unrealistic, And so I go back to Ben in my gym. I'm like, "Dude, this guy's like, he says they're banned in martial arts," and he chuckled. He was more experienced in MMA. He's like, "No, those guys, they don't get it. You tell them there's 12 rules. Like no fish hooking, eye gouging. You can't put a finger in an orifice. No headbutting, I think. And maybe by that time the soccer kicks were gone. You can't
Groin shots.
groin shots." And he's like, "These are the 12 rules." So I'd come back and I'm like, "Hey, guess what? You could fight. Your style's not banned. There's 12 rules. If you can abide by these 12 rules, you're good to go." Because everyone whose style is banned, "Oh, I'd like to fight, but I can't dial it back enough to where I won't kill someone."
Totally.
And they'd be like, "Well, the palm strike," and I'm like, "Turns out the upward palm strike's not banned in MMA." And I was like, "Oh," so we're back and forth.
I promise you can do it.
I promise you could do that. And then we came to the point where I was like, "Look, if someone can knee you in the face and not push your nose into your brain and kill you, you cannot do it with your palms. So
No.
you're good."
No.
And then there's another reason. So you're like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's always something. So-
MMA is it's less than that. There's still the deadly guys
Well,
out
you've
there."
taken away my tools. If I can't punch to the throat and rip out the eyes, then you've taken away my tools. But you put those in,
Put their
and I'm
nose
gonna
in
win.
their brain.
You limited me. Yeah,
You've limited
you
me.
really limited
Exact-
my skill set.
Exactly.
That's a good
Yep.
one.
I come from all my brothers growing up did Kenpo, which is cool, fine, whatever. But after I had started training, I went to their gym because they offered like a free month to check it out, which was crazy to me. But I was just like, yeah, cool. All my brothers do it. Like, why not
Sweet.
pick up some new things and we'll do it. And of course, I come from like boxing and jiu-jitsu and MMA background.
jab works,
Of
dude.
course, like
Jab works.
jab works amazing, and then like everything that they did was set off of first of all like a shot to the groin. Like I got kicked in the balls 9,000 times, but I was wearing a cup, so it was okay. Dude, they use that like I use a jab. Yeah, like they probe it out. Like he'll literally just probe it out and then wait for a shot. But I remember asking just like, "What do you guys do on the ground?" And they're like, you said, like, "Well, we don't go on the ground." Why? Well, what we do is so effective, we don't end up there. And
You don't have
so
to.
I posed the question of just like, well, let's just humor me. Let's say it goes to the ground. What happens? And their response was, well, everything we do standing up works on the ground. I was like, that sounds ridiculous, but okay.
That sounds ridiculous.
And then in sparring, like we'd spar, and I'd be like, okay, what are the rules? And they'd say, okay, or first they just said, let's spar. So we start sparring, and of course I'm throwing leg kicks, jabs and leg kicks. Oh, well, you got to dial the jab back a little bit. We're just sparring. Yeah, we're sparring. And I go kick to the legs, and like the main guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, we keep our kicks only to like the body and head and groin." I'm just like, "That." So the thigh is off limits, but my face and my groin are targets.
You can hit the jewels.
Like,
there.
okay, this is good. And then of course, like I shoot the most dog shit double leg on the planet and take the first guy down that I'm sparring, and it's the worst double leg on the planet. Mount him and just start unloading, and again I get stopped. Just like, hey, whoa, we don't train like ground stuff and striking and any of that stuff. You literally just told me you're so good that it doesn't matter. Like you're not gonna get taken down, and if you do, the shit you do is gonna work exactly the same. Like you're contradicting yourself. What is it? Is it we can't, or it's just so dumb? And then I
That
was
is
like,
dumb.
It is dumb.
Those disciplines, a lot of those disciplines are ridiculous, and they're non-applicable.
Well, it's like martial
You know
arts.
what?
Outs-
Here, let's
outside,
back up.
outside of their,
They're moving. They're dancing.
Totally.
It's not
yes,
a,
it's
a
dance.
self-defense.
That's exactly right. It's a ballroom dance. That's just it reinterpreted.
You're gonna-
I look at traditional martial arts the same way that I look at religion. I don't outright shit on it, but I'm not like a religious guy, nor am I into like traditional martial arts. But I can say, like, for me, and this is just my own personal opinion, they're similar in that I think you can take something from all of them that is a good thing, like
Yeah.
that could be applicable and good for you in your life or whatever. But to think that one is going to have all the answers is crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's just
it's the touch of death, man.
I think for the
Totally.
most part, a lot of people can see through the bullshit, especially when it comes to religion and organized martial arts.
Well, it's similar. It can be super cultish. You know, it's similar
Exactly.
when it's cultish.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
We
Yeah,
all
a
drink
lot
the
of people can
Kool-Aid.
see
We
it.
all respect Grandmaster, whatever, that we've never seen do anything ever at all. He's never on the mats. He's never doing whatever, but he wears this.
Untested.
He's untested. Same thing. Like we follow this guy that talks to whatever Buddha or whatever.
Exactly. But we can't discredit the discipline that's
Totally.
involved. It's,
Absolutely.
That's why I say
there
I
are
think there's good
definitely the
things in all of
fundamentals,
it.
but they're non-applicable when you're in a fight for your life. I'm sorry, but like standing like a flying lotus is not going to save your fucking life when a dude's got a gun to your head.
But like
sorry,
I said,
it's not going to happen.
there's good stuff. I mean, my nephew is super respectful, super well-spoken,
Yeah.
super disciplined. I mean, I think there's just the
There's
same way
very
I think
good
about
structure.
religion. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of good things that, like, when people use it in a right way, they can say,
Exactly.
these are the things that are great and a good thing for someone to do.
There's no right, there's no wrong. There's only a difference.
Mhm.
And, to me, I think that if you were to apply it to the real world, and in this instance, the real world would be mixed martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it would definitely conflict with a lot of the dynamics that go on within an octagon or within some type of a ring, just because your structure and discipline is very at that point you could be at the highest level, but you are very narrow-minded, narrowly trained, where you only know so much.
Mm-hmm.
Where there is like somebody who is like multidisciplined, such as yourself, Brian, you're able to see different angles where this individual is on a straight line. They're parallel. Like everything
Totally.
they see is the only thing they've been taught,
Sure.
So, this is like, I don't know, if you were to equate it to like mathematics, it's like somebody who only knows addition, and you're bringing like multiplication and like division to the whole situation, where I have no idea what's going on. 2 + 2 is 4, right? But then when you bring multiplication and division into it, you have so many different angles to create that fucking number to do that one angle. Like it's an overwhelming
Totally.
situation for that individual.
Totally.
So yeah, does that make sense?
Too much math for me. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
jabs and takedowns
Yeah,
now.
sorry. Yeah.
Just take those.
I'm
No,
like
I totally know what you mean. I
I'm
mean,
a mathematical.
You prepare for
I'm a
one
number
thing,
geek.
and then
Yeah.
you add a lot more variables, right? You're talking variables. You add a bunch of variables to something. Suddenly it's
Yeah.
like, what?
Somebody on a
Yeah,
one-way is definitely like, it's not a roundabout situation at that point.
So
Yeah.
much can happen.
There's
in
a
fight.
lot of
Totally.
things
So much.
going on, for sure.
Totally. I mean, even when it's controlled, the first striking I ever did was boxing, and then I made the switch, and Ray Perales kicked me in the face, and I was like, hey, What just happened?
You got kicked in the face by Ray Perales.
My first day.
The boxer?
My
Okay.
first day walking into an MMA gym. He was like, "Oh, you come from boxing? Cool." And he throws a head kick immediately, and I was like, "I said boxing."
He's probably
What the
wearing
hell
a
is
shoe
this?
too, right?
I might have been. I don't know. He was wearing shin pads.
That's cool.
I was just like, okay, all right, thanks, appreciate that.
Ray Perales. I haven't heard that name in a while.
I know, it's old school.
That is old
It's
school.
Super old school.
You just
yeah.
dated yourself.
I know. It's weird when I think about like getting started and all that stuff. But man, you predate me by like double.
Yeah, Benjamin Haller asked me. He's like, "Tell me about when did you get to Boise State and start wrestling?" And I was like, I had to go back and think. Right now, it's been so long. I'm like, I graduated high school, '93. I didn't go directly to wrestling from high school. I kind of went the long route. I got injured. I broke my back in a couple places and recovered. But I was like, I think I got there in '94 or '5. And he's like, I was 4. I was 4. And I was like, shut up, Ben. He'd go, get out of here. No one cares. You were 4.
Kids classes down the hall.
Yeah,
Ben.
yeah, exactly.
Ben's a man. I love Ben. He's a dear friend. of mine.
Nursery's right around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
His wrestling is phenomenal too.
It should be nice to though. You gotta respect the old man.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Just tell me. One time, Wick, Matt Jones, and all those guys, same thing, sparring, and they get over there, and we're all like, "Oh man, I'm tired and stiff." This has been a few years ago, and they're like, "I'm old." One of these like kids, "I'm old." Wait till you're my age, you'll know what it feels like to be old.
Totally.
It's one of those guys. Weber, you're not that old. How old are you? And I was like, I'm 38. And it was revered silence in that group. Not one of those little fuckers said, "Hey, Weber 38's not that old." No one gave any affirmations like, "Yeah, that's not that." They were just like, "Whoa,
Damn.
whoa!" And they're looking around. Do we have a defibrillator here? And, I'm like, and are you okay to be hit? Like, I'm fine.
Meanwhile, Wick's still in high school at the time, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he was a kid.
Yeah,
He's got a fight coming up in February.
he does.
Yeah, I heard. That's
26,
right,
right?
yeah.
He's got the belt right at Front Street still. Yeah, he's still holding.
He's
it.
a destroyer.
He's a
man.
monster, dude.
No,
Yeah.
Does he have the lightweight belt?
Well, he won it last time I checked.
It's been a
last
couple
time I
years,
followed.
right? It's been a
Well, I
couple
think it was
years.
like last year he won it,
wasn't
wasn't it?
sure.
Or maybe it was 2 years
Did
ago.
he beat Hamilton?
I thought he did.
Maybe he did. I can't remember.
I'd have to look it up.
I can't remember. Is there a 170 champ right now?
I don't think so.
I
I,
don't
think
think
it
so
would be
either.
Kyle Frost, but he moved to the Bellator, right?
Okay.
So Kyle, I don't think
Do
he
they
was the champ,
vacate
but he
the belt
would've-
if they switch sanctions?
I don't think they
I
ever
don't think they
created a
did.
No.
welterweight champion.
I don't think they did.
I don't know what his situation is, but I know he's 1 or 2 pro fights and
Frost.
Yeah, he's like
He's
2-0
more like
right now.
4-1.
well, he had a bunch of
4.
amateur fights
Yeah.
because he just went pro
He
a couple
beat-
fights.
He
ago.
beat Will.
He beat- Did he
um,
fight Will?
He went like 2-0
Did
in
he?
amateurs.
I thought they were trying to set up him, and he beat.
No, he had 4
Joe-
amateur fights and
He
2
beat
pro fights.
Hawk. He beat the Jacob Hawk, and
And
then he
he-
beat Joe Borshik.
Yes, yep. And I
and
think
then he
those
fought
are-
in Bellator.
Did he fight in Bellator?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
He
did.
fought in Bellator.
Yeah,
Kyle did.
Yes.
he did.
Really?
Yes. That's what I've seen Kyle Frost fight so many times when I was in a fight.
Well, we sponsored him for my nutrition company.
Well,
so
he,
we followed him up and through that.
Because he's
first-
got like a 10-pack, dude. The dude's so...
Yeah, he's jacked.
He's
Yeah.
jacked.
I know. And every time he poses, he's
Is he not
he's
at-
just all out.
Is he not down at SBG right
No,
now?
he is. I'm just a shitty training partner.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's
you're
injured.
totally
He's injured
fine.
too because he was coming out to give me some work, and then he hurt his shoulder.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he was there at Front
think
Street
he's
doing
like
a bunch
2 or
of all of his
3-0.
amateur fights were like, I'm pretty sure at
All
Front Street,
first,
and they
like
were all like,
first round.
they were all like
knockouts.
back to back. Like
Yeah.
Front Street did like 4 cards, and he was on
Yep.
all of them. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't-
he ran
I can't
4-0
keep
in his
track of his
Amis,
record.
and I think he's 2-0, maybe 3-0 right now. in
Must be
pros.
3.
It's got to be 3.
Must be 3.
Yeah.
Jacob, Borshik,
Joe.
and then
Mhm.
the Bellator.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Bellator. I
Yep.
totally. Well, we had like 5 people on Bellator, so
Yeah.
they were all first round finishes. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Wow.
Vita's was second, but still all finishes.
Still great show.
Championship
Like,
fight for
great
Vita.
show.
Dude. I saw that. That was
Title
the
shot.
highlight of the
That's
Bellator
sick.
when I saw
Yeah.
that Vita on my wall. I was like, yes.
Totally. That was funny because I was following it and like everybody was talking about like, oh yeah, AJ Aguilar's first fight, and then this person, and then whatever, and then as soon as the Vita thing, it was my whole feed was just
Vita.
Vita. I was like, cool. I'm gonna share this now.
She's awesome. She's so cool.
I'm not surprised though.
Not at all.
Yeah, I
No,
knew
it
she
was.
would get
You
it
knew it
after
was
that
gonna be
last
this
fight.
one or the
Yeah.
next one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly
she
right.
deserves it.
Yeah,
Totally. She's gonna go put on a show.
Very
That's for
competitive.
sure. Man, it's awesome to be around so long to see some of these careers, you know, because like you see, Vita's now fighting for a title, and like she's gotten better every fight, and it's not by a little bit. It's like she would beat the shit out of the person she was in the last fight. She'd beat
Leaps
the
and
person
bounds, man.
every
She's
single
so tough.
time. It's unbelievable,
But
and she puts on a fun show.
She's
too.
one of those girls that fixes all the people who think I don't hit girls. Not that you shouldn't hit girls.
Oh, yeah.
If they want to be hit, you're sparring though. You
yeah,
should
totally.
hit girls.
You should make them better.
Yes.
Yeah, to
Totally.
make them better.
You stand in front of
Vita.
Vita and think that you're too tough to punch someone, and she
Good luck with
pops
that.
you once, and you're like, if I don't
Or
hit
they
her,
make you better.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they move and run away and jab, she's so tough.
Well, her and I were talking one time because I had read an article about like training differently with men versus training differently with women, and I was like, you know, what are your thoughts on that? And she told him, and I was like, well, I want you to know that every time that we train, I try to fucking kill you. So I'm going to try to rip your head off, and you kick the shit out of me every time.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, thanks. And I'm just like, dude, it's no joke. It is no joke.
Someone asked me about Liv, my oldest, who's turning into a wrecking ball, and they're like, you know, Liv's really a lot of the white belts and blue belts come over. Liv's my rival, right? She is tough, and they're like, can I go hard? And I'm like, absolutely. And she's confident enough in her jiu-jitsu where if someone is going hard or spazzing out, she'll tell them, hey, knock it off. Or
Right.
she came back to me one day and some giant white belt was smashing her into the mat, and then, you know, some people have, you know, they're getting to that point where they'll have the awareness of, oh, I'm kind of being a dick training
Yeah,
partner, right?
you
And
should.
someone asked her, was like, was I going too hard? Was I smashing you? And she's like, it's okay. I'll just have my dad smash you later, right? So but she wants to train hard. She wants to be pushed. And especially the people who are working in kind of the self-defense or sport aspect, you don't want to build a false sense of security.
Definitely not. That's the most dangerous thing you can do.
Yes, but you don't have to be a jerk either, right? So I think in the same regards as if you're better than someone and you're training jiu-jitsu, or you're not going to knock them out, you're not going to injure them, you're not going to break them, but you can go hard on them
Totally.
and not make them think they're better than they are just to save their ego, right? I mean, that's kind of where you toss that out to improve and get better.
Absolutely. When I was talking to Vita, I told her, like, male or female does not change how I train with you.
No.
Your belt rank might,
Sure.
and your size might. If you're a 110-pound male or female, I'm not going to roll with you the same way I'm going to roll with you, right?
Yeah.
And same thing. If you're a white belt, I don't care what size you are or gender, I'm probably going to train differently with you than I am the upper belts.
Full blast, man. That white belt jiu-jitsu is the most dangerous martial art there is on
Dude,
the planet. So I don't want to change my credentials.
For
to,
real.
Yeah, what do you do? I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu. You should be the most educated people on the planet are most afraid of white belts in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And anytime they want to start standing, I'm just like, no,
Nope. Yeah.
absolutely not. Nope.
I've learned that training for this fight. Everyone who's, before it was jiu-jitsu and we're grappling, and it seemed okay. Now that I'm, once I signed the contract, I'm like, okay, Brian's got to fight, so we have to do this. And the white belts are like, okay, you've got a fight coming up. Do you want me to just go ape shit on you? I'm like, no,
Not at all.
Not at all. You go to the other side of the room, and everyone who gets it, all the pros who come in are like, okay, I'm not going to hurt you, but I'm going to push you, and I'm going to go there. And but the white belts,
Dangerous game.
Dangerous game.
Dangerous game.
So
I rolled with all your daughters on Friday night, and man, it was not easy, fun rounds. It was
it's awesome, right?
So like methodical and just thoughtful and like not breathing heavy, not frustrated, just okay. There's that. That's just like a system. Liv swept me, and my whole body just inverted onto the mat. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm upside down now. This is not where I was a second ago.
They're obsessed, man. It's so much fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's great to see your family. When did they decide to join you?
Oh man, the night that I got my purple belt. So that was in Weezer. It was Toby's last night in Wolverine Fitness. So he kind of did like a last round of promotions, and he had some kids, and it was just, this room was loaded with black belts and family members and everything we were watching. And so I got my purple belt that night, which was awesome, right? That was very cool to get it from Toby. And we're driving home. My girl's like, Dad, we want to train jiu-jitsu. And so I was like, and in my mind, I knew that Toby's gym was closing down. And so I was kind of driving home and crying. And then they're like, that was so cool. We want to do that. and that was the day they wanted to train, but they didn't start training until January. I think I got my purple belt. I don't know, we've been open a year, so if you back up like 6-7 months before that, so there was kind of this period of nothingness where I kind of floundered for a bit.
Summer like 2017, somewhere around there.
Yep, I think that's what it was.
Yeah. How'd you get hooked up with Gracie Baja?
So Ray Morrow and I have been friends. I call him Ray Jitsu. He gave me my first nickname too, which was the Ouch. Right, so that was kind of it was like the dick way of training, because I was like, I'm just gonna smash. There was no jiu-jitsu, like I just squeeze people, and so he was Ray Jitsu because he immediately kind of took to that whole jiu-jitsu lifestyle, and then he went down to California and got hooked up with Gracie Baja, and man, it was we've kind of kept in touch, but not as much as we had the last couple of years when I started doing more gi. Right, jiu-jitsu people they're all tight, and if you're not a jiu-jitsu person, we're lost. So when I kind of started training more with Toby's, we reconnected a little bit, and he was thinking of doing this, and Toby's quit, and man, I think sometime in November-ish, he's like, hey, help me start a family here in Boise. And, by family, he meant gym. So
of course,
I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But I was I'd come into SBG and work with you guys, and I wasn't really sure. And at that point, I had not, been on the comeback from my unretired retirement. And I was like, well, cool, that's great. It'd be fun. We'll have to train together. It'd be good to see you back in Idaho. And then I was like, well, let me know where your gym's going to be, and then maybe we'll figure it out, or what, who knows. So he messaged me in, I think, October, November. It's like, hey, do you know where the Hawk Stadium is? I'm like, yeah, it's like 4 blocks from my house. He's like, well, I think we're going to get a place like right there. I was like, no way. And so when he signed that lease, I was like, all right, man, I'm in.
To do it.
Yep. And he'd come back. Oh, gosh, that was humbling. I'd have to look back on social media and see when it was. But, he'd been back a few times, and we were talking shit. And, he was a black belt, and we'd started training together. I was like, I've trained with black belts, and I've had my ass whipped by black belts, and I've done okay against some black belts. And I was like, okay, dude, it's on, right? This is, let's see what that black belt's made of. And so we met out at a gym in Caldwell, and he's like, I don't want to submit you, I want to take your soul. And I was like, yeah, that sounds, pretty traditional martial arts.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that, right? Yeah, I was like, so we met up, and he embarrassed me for about 90 minutes of just straight up gi jiu-jitsu. He would hit me in something, and then he'd tell me what he hit me with. He'd show me what he hit me with, and then he'd show me how to defend it, and then he'd hit it again, and then he'd move to another move. And we did that pretty much until I quit, which ended up being about 90 minutes of that. and he was like, yeah, when I come back, we'll train. You train, and we'll give you your soul back. So that's how we started there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
I kind of have good timing too. You were done at Toby's and didn't really have like a real home, and he comes back and says, help me build one, and man, good timing.
Yeah, and then Jen, who watched for a day, I was like, I could do this. And then now she gets to brag about her IBJJF medal for the rest of her life.
And does.
And as she should, right?
Yeah.
As she should.
Heck yeah, be proud of that thing.
Because I make fun of her, but if I had one, I would be wearing my medal today.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
She should totally brag about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even getting belted, you just want to wear it for like, you never want to take it off. I can't imagine an IBJJF World Championship.
Yeah. Pieces of tape. That is the cool part of jiu-jitsu, is and you get a little bit of tape, and you're like, people don't understand that, but it demonstrates how much work and time and hours of your life you put into getting that, quarter-inch wide little stripe of tape or a new belt fabric color.
Totally. Like, just means the world. It
crazy. Means the world. You see grown men crying, like, oh, I got my black belt. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, getting my purple belt to me was like getting my black belt.
It's awesome.
Like, to me, it was like, I was happy to get my blue belt because it meant that I was showing up and putting in the work.
Yeah.
But, like, you can be 70% of blue belts leave, and like the other ones, you gotta put in work. Like they don't hand out purple belts, you know.
No.
So when they do, to me, it was like getting a black belt. I was just like, what?
It was badass. And I saw that. I was like, yes. Yeah. I think Friday was the first time we rolled since you got your purple
Yeah,
belt.
yeah, sure was. Sure was.
That was cool. Well deserved.
Yeah, we're definitely not the same level of purple belt. It was very humbling going there on Friday. Thank you for that.
It's the same.
It was good.
It's the same. It's the same. It's a level of knowledge and your ability to apply it in sparring. So I used to be super, I could hang with this person and that person. And I was like, well, you know what? I couldn't have taught like a white belt fundamental
Same
armbar, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm the belt that I've earned, and it reflects my level of knowledge and training in jiu-jitsu and time in the belt and committedness. I used to show up, with this white belt that was kind of pinkish in color, and I had so little respect for jiu-jitsu. I would wear like board shorts and a gi top. I was like, what a jerk. So it just took me kind of humbling myself and throwing a gi on, and learning it, going through the fundamentals and being like, oh, this is really cool.
Sure.
It's a cool part of the whole thing.
Being able to put into words what you're doing is so difficult with jiu-jitsu. Like it's a very underrated thing that people, like myself, I show me how to do this. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, now explain it to me. I can't do that.
Yeah.
How has coaching changed your relationship with jiu-jitsu?
It totally has, right? And you, the details of where does your elbow go? How much weight are you applying? Where do you put the pressure? What do you do here? And watching people repeat something that you're like, oh, that's cool. That person just hit that move that I showed them how to do. It's rewarding so much so. And one of the things I've really enjoyed is watching people come in and they're overweight and they're heavy and they're scared to death, right? They're like, oh man, this is crazy. You guys are teaching chokes and takedowns. And then, a month in, they're like, this is pretty cool. I like this. I wake up and I think about jiu-jitsu and I'm like, I eat a little bit better because I'm going to go train in that night, right? And I do this.
Excellent.
And then 4 months later, you're like, how much weight have you lost? They're like, 25 pounds, and then all of a sudden 6 months is like, some of these guys we have lost like 45 pounds. They're different size human beings.
Amazing.
And I have a friend who, not in a million years would I've ever put him in any combat sport. Now he's a partner at a accounting firm downtown. And he's like, you know what? I want a martial art for my kids. Should I do taekwondo, karate? And I was like, no. I mean, those are great martial arts, but I'm like, from my own perspective,
If you're asking my opinion,
I would throw them into a gym with jiu-jitsu, boxing, MMA, kind of a cross-training gym. They don't have to be fighters, but I was like, I'd go here where we are.
Totally.
I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be a good jiu-jitsu coach, but come have fun with us. And so now I have a buddy who signed up for IBJJF tournament in Portland last week, and he's going to go alone. I'm like, no way, I'll go with you. I might not compete, but, and he's lost like 40 pounds, and that is cool. Watching that as a coach, you're like, that's a win, right?
Totally.
He's not ripped up, but he's a guy who he goes to work every day at 6 a.m., and then he does his best to get off in time to make it to class, and he eats a little bit better because he knows he might get his butt kicked in class, and then I've seen him doing 2-a-days, where you'll do a fundamentals class and then stay for the advanced. I'm like, that's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think it's just evidence that training in jiu-jitsu has affected more areas of his life than obviously what's in the gym. That's what it says to me when you see people like that, because it's changing things that you don't see. Like you said, what they're eating, what they're thinking about, what they're doing, how they live their life, how they, it bleeds into everything else you do.
It's our own cult, man.
It's crazy.
But I'm like,
crazy.
It'll make you a better human being. Right?
For sure.
You'll become a better person getting choked out and hip escaping and moving across the mat and lining up down at the end by all the white belts,
Totally.
And not having someone come in and put a black belt on you immediately. It'll humble you, getting choked out by a 12-year-old girl.
Totally, yeah.
All those things are good things for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been so much fun being a coach. And it is humbling because there's people who are so good at it. So I'm at the beginning of my jiu-jitsu coaching journey.
I've rolled with Ray a few times. It's something.
It's humbling. Like, man, it's humbling.
I think I told him on Friday, I was like, thank you. You made me feel like I'd never done jiu-jitsu. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And he does
He's
it
super cool. Super cool dude.
And then we have Otavio coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that.
Who will do that to Ray too? So there's just levels of that sport that are
There's always somebody better.
incredible.
Are you a fan? Like, do you watch tournaments or competitions or any of that stuff?
More and more so now.
Yeah.
I kind of when I started this fight camp, I did notice, and it was a little, and I think I've gone away from that. But at first, I was like, man, this MMA thing is ruining my jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Because I notice now I'm not grabbing the pels and collars as much when I go into gi jiu-jitsu, and so I've kind of had to just be okay with that and adjust and think, okay. And now I'll go in. Jiu-jitsu's like my active recovery days, which I've also had to fix the last few weeks. It's like jiu-jitsu's not a day off. You don't go
Right.
in there. But what was the question? I get totally.
Are you a fan?
I
Like,
am
are you watching it?
I love jiu-jitsu.
As a spectator.
I love watching it. I've watched more MMA since I started fight camp, but I'm a super fan.
Nice.
It's so much fun. And jiu-jitsu, watching jiu-jitsu competitions at the IBJJFs taught me one thing that I think has bled over into my MMA training, which you'd watch those guys, Cyborg, and all those guys compete, and man, they would fight to the death.
Totally.
And then, the time would be over, and they would just smile and shake hands. And I was like, why can't I do that, right? Why can't MMA be like that? Why can't boxing be like that? Other sports, where they're still combat sports, right? You're added punching in and things like that. But just the way that the jiu-jitsu community allows people to compete full blast, choke people out, try to break people's knees, arms, legs, time up, smile, and just be like, well done, man. I that was so cool. I was so glad I got to watch that at the tournament.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, even in their like social media, you'll see Cyborg, and after the match, he's just like, I had an awesome match with Yuri, and they got their arm around each other's necks, and they're both bleeding or whatever, and smiling and stuff, and like support, just all that cross support.
It's incredible.
Everybody supports everybody except Gordon. Nobody supports Gordon.
Nobody supports Gordon.
Everybody supports everybody else.
Yes. And then, you have the no-gi thing going on, which is...
And then there's that, which I'm glad to see that. I feel like both are becoming more popular, and it's nice to see like the gi purists are starting to pay more attention to no gi.
For sure.
Because it was always looked at as like the easier version. Like, I'm a world champ in gi, like I'll kill you in no gi. And then there's these guys that train exclusively in the gi that are kind of interrupting that a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good. Good for
and
the
then
sport.
adding slapping in. That is
combat jiu-jitsu
combat jiu-jitsu, man. Yeah.
changes things.
Might as well be a fight.
That's what I say. Just make it a fight. If you're gonna fight.
Make it a
Like,
fight.
whatever, one or the other.
Yeah.
That's fine. So you got your fight on Friday.
5 days.
Let's
dude.
see, 5 days.
5 days.
February 1st, 2019. The last one was 2013. It's got to beg the question, man. Why? Why come back and fight now? Why now? What made you do it?
So I got back in shape. Jiu-jitsu started this journey, right? And then when we went to the Worlds, I got bumped. I think like quarters, semis, somewhere. I didn't medal. I didn't make it. There was 4 brackets. It was a 64-man bracket, and I got bumped out of there. And watching those guys compete, and then at first it was a little bit like, if it was a fight, and I'm like, I was talking to my girls, and like, well, why don't you just fight? I had all these things, and like we were still doing Muay Thai, and I was still sparring. And my girls were like, Dad, do you still want to compete? I'm like, hell yeah, but I have kids and a life and all this. Like, you should do one more. And I'm like, one more is a bad idea in my mind. Like that, I'm gonna retire this one. So I was like, you should never like come out of retirement and try to compete. So my thought was, I absolutely still had the drive and the fire and wanted to fight, but I didn't want to come out and have one more fight. I was like, you have to fight. And I told Todd this. I'm like, Todd, I would like to fight. I would like to fight in Boise so I could have my family and friends. I don't want to travel again. I'd always or mostly traveled, went out of town, out of state, and competed. And I was like, if I'm going to do one, it would be really cool to do one here. And I was like, I think that's probably, in your mind, a risky scenario. But I was like, I'm in this. I'm going to, become a fighter again if I can. And it could be 10, it could be 5, and it might be 1. But my mentality is like, I want to sign up and do what it takes to be ready for a fight, and then we'll go from there. So my mindset since August has been like, I am a fighter. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to fix the things that I need to fix to get there, right? So I, hit up Jesse Brock, Matt May, and this is one of the things at work or places where you go out and they ask this question, like, well, what if you get hurt? What if you get injured? And I'm like, let me tell you one thing here is when my family and I were deciding to decide if we were going to go through a fight, we kind of selected a list of people. And if their opinion mattered, if say Matt May would have said, no, you shouldn't fight again. If Jesse Brock would have said, no, you shouldn't, my wife. So we got this group of people who all kind of had the ability to veto this, right? Throw it out. And I was like, so if I gave a fuck about their opinion, I checked at the very beginning. Ray was on that list, Laurel, and these people. And I'm like, so if we didn't check in with you like 8 months ago and ask you if I should fight or not, I really don't care about your opinion, right? And at that point, when my core group of people who decided, okay, yeah, do it, right? So I was training hard, did some hard sparring and jiu-jitsu, and was like, man, I want to do this, right? But it was important, to fix the things that I could, if I could get the mobility back, because I wasn't stretching and I wasn't doing like hard sparring and I wasn't like testing my body to see if it could take, what it takes to do a fight camp. So when I started to do that, I had to start making adjustments and stretching, rolling things out and doing that. So it's kind of this balance of, is the drive still there? Can my body still take it? And can I balance this entire mess of, being a dad, having a career, and training for a professional cage fight? But once we made the choice, I was all in, right? It was like, God damn it. It's been sleep that's the thing you have to sacrifice, right? You got to get up. You got to stay up late. And, you don't get to watch TV anymore. You don't get to eat crappy. And all of those things, you weigh the cost. Like I could get lumped up. All these things could happen. And we were all kind of willing, like, dude, let's do this, man. Yeah, heck yeah. Body's good, drive's there. Let's do it.
So you wondered if you could balance all those things, and it sounds like you found a way to do it.
We've done so far. I keep telling the people, like, man, we're so proud of you, and I did a lot of things to prep for this fight. My hips are crazy mobile. My fitness is great. My cardio is good. I'm strong. And people are like, I'm so proud of him. Like, dude, we haven't done it yet. It's next Friday.
We still got to fight.
We still got to fight. Yeah. So I feel like, man, we're so close to the finish line, but not quite there.
Good.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's circling back to kind of what you said about Fedor, like looking at it as not, I just want to go do this one fight. It's probably, you think you'd be in a different mindset looking at it that way, whereas you just said, I'm going to be a fighter again, and we'll see where it goes.
I'm a professional cage fighter, man. If you ask me, I'm a professional cage fighter. And the one thing I have stayed away from for this fight is everyone saying, what's next? And I'm like, tacos.
Sure.
Tacos are next,
sure.
man.
Some beers.
I'm going to face Jacob in the ring next Friday, and then I'm going to celebrate. And I have no idea what's going to happen next, right? Because you're like, what if you beat him? What if you lose? I have no idea, man. I want to go out there and do my very best and then have tacos.
Sure.
And then we'll deal with the rest after that.
Sure. I mean, really, barring any, significant injury, do any of those things even change what comes next? I mean, whether you win or lose, you're going to wake up Monday and be like, you're going to love it or you're not. You're not going to care. I mean, honestly.
Absolutely.
As soon as it's done, you're going to have your tacos and beer, and then
you're
just going to keep
fighter.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I've always tried to not say I'm retired, I'm done. Who knows?
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
Sure. You're still doing it.
Still doing it.
Well, that's awesome. So that's this Friday. So if people want to come watch, what do they do? Where do they buy tickets? How much they cost?
I think there's 20, 30, and 50, I think, if you want to be upper, lower, or on the floor. Tables are sold out, and I think the suites are as well. So you can contact Jen on social media. She's been grouping people together, so if you want to be with the Brian Weber fan club, you can contact Jen, or you can just log into the Front Street Fights and get tickets. We get credit, so if you use my login, that'd be cool. If not, just come. I mean, you can come cheer for me or against me, so it's gonna be awesome.
And then you got shirts for this fight, don't you?
Gary reached out to me. He's like, hey, I don't even remember that, but he was like, yeah, we got this, dude. And then my daughter drew the little jujitsu shark, right? You know, kind of that, there's a Enzo Gracie quote where the ground is my ocean. You know, most people don't know how to swim, and I'm a shark. That's the jujitsu mentality. She drew this sweet shark for my walkout shirts. And so there's going to be like some red out there, man. The red and black, which is two most powerful colors you could possibly have. My shirts are those colors. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
I believe those are the Gracie Baja colors, if I'm not mistaken.
They are the Gracie. You know what? They were my high school wrestling colors too.
Really?
So it's just
Has this always been a part of you?
it's just meant to be. Yeah, and I was nerdy. You know, I'd be like red and black knee pads, and then once it got to Muay Thai, like you could add ankle braces that were also red and black. People think they see me training like, man, you are like the most injured leg person ever. I'm like, I just want red and black, you know, pieces of fabric covering parts of my body. Yeah, it looks cool. So,
where do people get T-shirts if they want them? They for sale on Tiger 2, or are you guys going to sell them at the fights, or you just do like a big old pre-order or something?
we've done a huge pre-order.
Cool.
Jen did it. I have no idea if they're doing more.
Okay.
It probably is. I've not dealt with like shirts or tickets. My wife has done the entire thing, so I could focus on training.
It's okay. I got Gary's number. I'll just message him directly. Hey,
Hit him up. Yeah.
we need more. We need more of those.
We need more. There's some cool logos in there. Someone made me a badass semicolon. So it's part of the cool thing about being older and having like artsy, nerdy work people. So
Sure.
They designed like this semicolon with a fist pounding, and then
That's awesome.
and then they changed it just last week because my ears have been bleeding pretty much this entire training camp. I got this horrible cauliflower ear and it blew up in December. Isaac punched it and it just ruptured. And so if you have cauliflower and it ruptures, it just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. And every night I covered it with Band-Aids and taped it. But I was sitting there, I was like, oh, the bottom of this semicolon should be a mangled ear. And so now it's like it's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I saw that floating around. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And it's 2.0 since it's the reinvented semicolon.
The reinvented semicolon.
It's the new unretired, not ever retired semicolon.
Retired, unretired.
Yeah.
We don't use the word retired.
Never.
We just we're less competitive. You're during a less competitive period.
Yes.
Still training.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, thanks for coming and hanging out, man. I really appreciate you taking the time
You
and
bet. This
talking
was
about
awesome.
your story.
This was super fun, man.
And hanging out with us and stuff. I'm super excited. The minute I heard that you were fighting, I think I literally jumped up and was like, what? Yes. Hell yes. That's awesome.
Yes. And the minute I agreed to it, Matt May split me open and I had got 8 stitches that night. Like, fuck, you got to be kidding me. So
at least it was early in camp.
it was day one.
Cheers.
Day one. Yeah. So that was cool.
Well, people want to support you, follow you. How do they get in touch with you? You got some social media?
I have a semicolon at Instagram, and
Okay.
then, or you could just Facebook friend me, and I pretty much take everything. I do a lot of boring stuff that's not fight. It's just my stuff. So yeah, you could check that out.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, definitely give Brian a follow. Check him out and come see him at his fight on February 1st. I'm pumped. I can't wait. I'm going to be screaming my head off, so it's going to be a good time.
It's gonna be awesome, man.
Thanks for hanging out, dude.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Cool.